Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Tomb Raider. Martial Arts Master, sign into the 9-Yang Manual. Chapter 61. Tomb of Prince Liu, beside the 9-headed snake cypress. On a bronze coffin, there were countless black evil spirits rushing towards this place from all corners of the tomb of Prince Liu. Those evil spirits had completely turned into substance, and even gathered into a huge elliptical gas, wrapping around Ji Yu Chang'e. Ji Yu Chang'e sat cross-legged on the bronze coffin, and a large amount of evil spirits were swallowed into his body. Then, with the great devouring evil secret art as a guide, he tempered his body and then refined it into true energy. Suddenly, a burst of breath and pressure suddenly erupted from Ji Yu Chang'e's body, and powerful waves of air swept in all directions. With the help of the great devouring evil secret art, in just less than 10 minutes of practice, the true energy in his dantian skyrocketed, and even his cultivation level directly broke through to the second level of innateness. And his physical strength has also improved a lot. The first level of the Dragon Elephant Prajna art has entered a small success, and the power of a punch has reached a terrifying level of 2,000 pounds. Tisk tisk. I didn't expect this great devouring evil secret technique to be even more powerful than I imagined. The evil spirit in the Liu Palace is so dense that it can at least allow me to break through several small realms if I can absorb it completely. Feeling the majestic and terrifying power in his body, and the surging true essence in his dantian like the sea, Ji Yu Chang'e's eyes suddenly flashed with joy. Now he has completed all 3 sign-in tasks. Next, he might as well practice here. Thinking of this, Ji Yu Chang'e continued to close his eyes and concentrate on practicing. With the breakthrough of his cultivation, the speed at which he swallowed and refined the evil spirit was getting faster and faster. For a while, not only the evil spirits floating in the tomb of Lu Wang gathered, but also the 9-headed snake cypress next to it, and the person lying in the golden jade clothes in the bronze coffin, all had a lot of evil spirits which were drawn into his body. At the same time, just as Ji Yu Chang'e was practicing, the woman who was rescued from the 9-headed snake cypress by him finally woke up from her coma. She had used up her last bit of strength and asked for help, but she only remembered that she fell into a man's arms. After a dazed look at the man, she fainted. And this woman was none other than Aining, who was under Jude Cao's command. Where is this? Aining slowly opened her eyes and struggled to sit up from the ground. When she saw the cave she was in and the huge hydra cypress in front of her, she suddenly shuddered and woke up. Am I not entangled by this strange tree? No, I remember someone seemed to have saved me. Aining frowned, and in her mind, she only vaguely remembered that the person who saved her seemed to be a young and very handsome man. She looked around and found that there was no one, but there was a huge black oval gas next to the hydra cypress. What is that? She had never seen the Yinshiqi, so she naturally couldn't understand it, and because of the Yinshiqi, even the bronze coffin was shrouded, so she didn't find the coffin either. Looking at the bottle of pure water next to her, Aining didn't think about it, and quickly twisted the cap and took a sip. Hey, where did the boss go? We are all at the end of this passage. Who knows, but with the boss's strength, we don't need to worry at all. There is nothing in this world that the boss can't solve. That's right. Hey, look, there is such a huge ancient tree growing in this ancient tomb. There are 2 corpses below. At this moment, voices came from a cave entrance above the cave. This sudden voice made Aining alert instantly. This time she was ordered to bring more than 20 people here, but now she is the only one left dead or injured. But she can't leave so easily before she gets what the boss said. Aining quickly propped herself up and staggered to hide behind a stone in the cave. At this time, at a cave entrance platform above the cave, Hu Bai, Fatty Wang, Ji Yuyi, Wu Tianjun, Wang Yuban, and Pan Zi gathered here. Originally, there were only 5 of them, but they didn't expect to run into Pan Zi halfway, which surprised Wu Tianjun. I think I know where the boss went. In vain, Ji Yuyi spoke calmly. Before everyone could ask, Ji Yuyi gestured to everyone to look down, at the oval black evil spirit aggregate that was several meters long. This is a large amount of yin evil spirit in the entire tomb gathered together, and it is slowly being absorbed by some existence. Hubba's eyes glared, his pupils constricted, and he said in shock. Evil spirit is evil in nature, and the evil spirit in the tomb is full of countless negative energy. In this world, no one can absorb it except Zongzi and evil spirits. But I felt a trace of fluctuations from practitioners there, and it was definitely not Zongzi evil spirits. And in this tomb, except for Zongzi evil spirits, I can't think of anyone else who can absorb evil spirits and not be affected except the boss. Quote. Ji Yuyi took a deep breath, then grinned and said, "It seems that these evil spirits are helpful to the boss's practice. In this case, don't disturb him." Quote. Hearing this, Hu Bai and Fatty Wong nodded in agreement. The stronger the master is, the happier they are. Besides, the master is in the stage of cultivation, so they naturally cannot disturb him, and it is even more impossible for others to disturb him. I say, Lao Hu, do you know what kind of tree this is? It actually grows in an ancient tomb, and it grows so big. It must be nearly 100 meters long, right? Looking at the huge hydra cypress in the cave, Fatty Wong asked curiously. Hu Bai frowned, and after a little thought, he said uncertainly, "This seems to be a bit like hydra cypress, but when can hydra cypress grow so big?" Hydra cypress, what is that? You can understand it as a man-eating tree. If this thing is really hydra cypress, then everyone better be careful. This guy can eat people. Hubba speaking in a low voice, his eyes were on the branches of the hydra cypress, looking at the round bodies wrapped by vines. He could feel a lot of dead air in there, and they seemed to be mummies. When they heard Hubba say that the huge ancient tree in front of them was a hydra cypress, a man-eating tree, everyone was shocked and subconsciously stepped back a few steps. Did you see those round vines hanging on the branches? There must be mummies in them. Hubba said in a deep voice. Is this hydra cypress so evil? It seems that we really have to be careful. This hydra cypress has grown so big, I'm afraid its strength should not be underestimated. Fatty Wong, Wu Tianjun, Pan Zi and others looked at the hydra cypress one by one, and they couldn't help showing fear in their eyes. Okay, let's stop chatting here, let's go down first. Ji Yuyi waved his hand to interrupt everyone, and then took a step, and was about to use the branches of the hydra cypress to fly to the bottom of the cave. With his current 7th level cultivation, he can't fall directly from a height of tens of meters without any help. Besides, he was injured at this time, so he couldn't do it. However, just when he came to the air and was about to use the power of the hydra cypress, he saw a vine on the hydra cypress like a giant python, sweeping towards him in an instant. Be careful. Seeing this scene, several people hurriedly warned. Looking for death. Ji Yuyi snorted coldly, and the tang sword in his hand was instantly unsheathed, directly cutting the vine into 18 pieces. Although he was seriously injured, his injuries have not healed, and the true energy in his dantian has not fully recovered, but this does not mean that he has no strength to fight. From the time after the battle with Mu Tianzi to now, his injuries have recovered a little, and the true energy in his dantian has also recovered a lot. It's enough for him to fight without anything happening. Oh my god, is this really the man-eating tree hydra cypress? It's actually intelligent and takes the initiative to attack people. Seeing this scene, Fatty Wong couldn't help but complain. Wang Yuban and Wu Tianjun, who were standing by, couldn't help but exclaim in amazement. After all, they had never seen a tree so weird before. K. At this moment, there were sounds of breaking through the air, and more than a dozen vines, like a dragon and a giant python, completely blocked all directions, and then rushed towards Ji Yuyi with a treacherous momentum. Cut. Faced with this scene, Ji Yuyi shouted coldly, and dozens of sword chi burst out from the tang sword in his hand in an instant. The sharpness of the sword chi was so sharp that it was horrifying. In just a blink of an eye, thousands of kudzu were turned into powder. At the same time, Ji Yu stepped on the tree trunk, and then fell to the ground after several rises and falls. Hey, this Teodi has recovered well. Fatty Wang's eyes lit up, and then he grabbed Wang Yuban and jumped up and said, I'm here, Fatty. AAA. The next moment, another vine swept over, but Fatty Wang dodged it directly, and after a few leverages, he successfully landed on the ground. Brother, you are really getting more and more confusing to me. Wang Yuban looked at his cousin with envy, wishing he could be so powerful and cool. Let's go, I'll take you two down. Hubba shook his head, then grabbed one of their arms with one hand, and took Pan Zi and Wu Tianjun, and after dodging several rounds of attacks from the Hydra, they landed on the ground. Nephew, is that you? Suddenly, At this moment, a shout came from above the cave, which immediately attracted everyone's attention. A middle-aged man walked out of one of the caves on the wall of the cave. Who else could this person be if not the disappeared Wu Sangsing? Uncle San, where have you been? Do you know that we have been looking for you? Wu Tianjun's face showed a hint of surprise when he saw Wu Sangsing, but it was quickly replaced by anger, and he shouted out. Hey you be asterisk 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 d. Uncle San accidentally got lost before, and he came here by accident. Wu Sangsing glared at his nephew in annoyance. Uncle San, don't move first, that's the Hydra cypress, the man-eating tree. Seeing that Wu Sangsing seemed to be going down the trunk of the Hydra cypress, Wu Tianjun's face became anxious and he hurriedly warned him loudly. Hydra cypress. Wu Sangsing was slightly stunned when he heard the words, and then picked up a stone from the ground without leaving a trace and put it in his pocket. Man-eating tree, is it that exaggerated? There was a little doubt in his words, and then he directly grabbed a vine and swung down from it. The so-called Hydra cypress attacked him, and there was no sign at all. Nephew, I'm fine, right? It's not as mysterious as you say. No, why weren't you attacked by the Hydra cypress? Looking at Wu Sangsing who was fine, Wu Tianjun widened his eyes and felt a little outrageous. Who among his people was not attacked? How come his uncle was fine? Hubba took a deep look at Wu Sangsing. Others might not have seen it, but he saw clearly that the old fox refined a stone and put it in his pocket without leaving any trace, so he did not attract the attack of the Hydra cypress. But what puzzled him was, what kind of stone would make the Hydra cypress not attack him? Hubba looked at the walls around the cave. Although he did not understand why it was so, everything was interdependent, so those stones were probably not simple. However, he did not intend to expose Wu Sangsing, but said to everyone, this is probably the final destination of the Western Zhou tomb. There were two bodies, a man and a woman, on the stone platform. Corpses, right, after thousands of years, they have not decayed and are still lifelike, as if they were asleep. It's a pity that the clothes and decorations on these two people seem to be from the Warring States period. Quote, Warring States period, could these two be the real owner? They threw Emperor Mu into the Warring States tomb and made them watchdogs. Fatty Wong said in surprise. What nonsense are you talking about? It's obvious that these two are not capable of that. Hu Bai glared at Fatty Wong, then walked to the stone platform, stared at the two corpses and said. Even if these two are not the real owner, I'm afraid they are closely related to the real owner. The woman's throat is slightly bulging, I'm afraid there is a mechanism installed, and she should have a key in her mouth. The male corpse seemed to be holding an 8-layer treasure box, made of precious materials, and this box alone is probably worth millions. Quote, when Wang Pengzi heard Hubba say there was a treasure, his eyes lit up immediately, and his cousin Wang Yuban also laughed. The two of them came forward and wanted to take the 8-layer treasure box. Old Hu, do you think these ancients always think that we are brainless? Do they really think that if there is a mechanism in the throat, we can't get the key in our mouth? Wang Pengzi curled his lips in disdain, and saw his right hand stretched out like lightning, and two fingers gently pinched his throat. There was a sound of click, and then several steel needles shot out. Then, Wang Pengzi hooked his left hand and took out a key from his mouth. Hey, got it. Weighing the key in his hand, Wang Pengzi's face showed a smile, a proud smile. Perhaps he didn't have such speed and skills before, but now that he has embarked on the path of martial arts practice and has born true qi, this action is too simple. It's easy to say, but Wu Sangsing and Wu Tianjun behind him were amazed. Suddenly, a breeze blew, and the female corpse that was still lifelike just now began to decay in the blink of an eye, and then weathered into ashes. Quote. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. It seems that the key should have an anti-corrosion function. Once the key is taken, the corpse will weather in an instant. What a pity. Hu Ba shook his head and sighed. Old Hu, you are just being pretentious. What's the pity of a corpse? Now that we have the key, let's see what's in this 8-layer treasure box. Quote. Fatty Wong rolled his eyes and was about to reach out for the box. Wait. However, Hu Bai grabbed him and shook his head with a serious expression. Wait a minute. Although Fatty Wong didn't understand why Hu Bai said to wait, seeing his serious expression, he must have encountered something. Mr. Wu San, there are a few people, please step back. Hu Ba, while asking everyone to step back, he looked at Ji Yuyita with a serious expression. Teodi, how much of your strength have you recovered? A little bit, but below the 5th level of the acquired realm, all reply. Ji Yuyi frowned and said coldly, what did you find? Hubba shook his head. I always feel that there is something wrong with this male corpse wearing a fox mask, but I can't find out what's wrong. You are the strongest here, why don't you go and get the treasure box? If there is any problem, it shouldn't be a problem with your strength. Okay. Ji Yuyi nodded, then came to the male corpse with a fox mask and reached out to take the treasure box. However, at this time, he glanced at the fox mask of the male corpse inconspicuously, and found that the other party's eyes flashed a green light. A mental wave instantly swept into his mind. Looking for death. Looking for death. Feeling the spiritual power sweeping towards his mind, Ji Yuyi's face suddenly turned cold, and a fierce murderous intent grew in his heart, and then suddenly broke out. This terrible murderous intent, mixed with the breath pressure, turned directly into substance, forming waves of wind and waves, sweeping in all directions. Faced with this murderous intent and pressure, everyone in the field couldn't help but change their faces, and their bodies retreated one after another, as if facing a towering mountain. Hiss. What's wrong with Teodi? Fatty Wong took a breath and said in horror. Faced with the breath pressure emitted by Ji Yuyi, he couldn't resist it and could only retreat one after another. It should be that he found something wrong, or that the fox-masked male corpse provoked him. Hu Ba narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice. ... At this moment, there was a sound of a knife, and the next moment, a tang sword was instantly unsheathed. In the flash of the knife, the fox-masked man's head was chopped off. The head rolled on the ground, accidentally dropping the fox mask on the ground. At this time, everyone saw clearly that the face of the fox-masked man was not a human face at all, but a fox face. Deaf. Seeing this, everyone felt horrified. There are people in the world with fox faces. B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** of saliva, looking at the fox face head with disgust and contempt. Teoti, what happened just now? Hubba frowned and asked in a deep voice. This B************* D actually dared to attack me with his mental power and tried to drag me into the illusion. If I hadn't entered the 7th level of martial arts and my willpower had not changed, I would have really seen his way. Ji Yuyi snorted coldly, and what he said made Hubba and Fatty Wong stunned. If I'm not mistaken, this should be a blue-eyed fox. Ordinary people can't look into its eyes, otherwise they will fall into an illusion and never be reborn. But I have only heard of it but never seen it before. I didn't expect to see it here. At this time, Wu Sangsing walked up and looked at the head on the ground. Then he thought for a while and said with a sigh, "Blue-eyed fox." Hubba frowned slightly when he heard this. When he mentioned this, he remembered the 16-character yin-yang feng shui secret technique, which seemed to have been mentioned before. Now that the head of the blue-eyed fox has been cut off by me, there should be no danger. Fatty, here is the 8-layer treasure box for you. Ji Yuyi raised the tang sword in his hand, and the 8-layer treasure box held in the male corpse's hands instantly flew into Wang Pengzi's hands. Hey, Lao Hu, open it quickly. Looking at the treasure box in his hand, Wang Pengzi smiled happily and prepared to open it immediately. When the key was put in and the box was opened, everyone saw that there was a copper fish inside. What is this, Lao Hu? Is it valuable? Wang Pengzi asked puzzledly after picking up the copper fish and weighing it. I don't know either. This thing seems to be an object from the Ming dynasty, but judging from the material, it is not a precious item. It doesn't seem to be worth much. Hubba also had some doubts on his face. This copper fish did not seem to be an antique or a plaything. Ming dynasty, since you don't understand it, just keep it and show it to the boss later. Quote. Fatty Wong nodded and put the copper fish away. Don't worry about whether it is valuable or not. It must be a special item if it can be placed in the 8-layer treasure box. Wu Sangsing, who was standing by, saw this scene and a subtle gleam flashed in his eyes, then disappeared, with a faint smile on his face. Huh, Uncle San, where are Da Viper and Men Yuping? Aren't they with you? Suddenly, Wu Tianjun seemed to remember something, looked around, and asked Wu Sangsing with a puzzled look. Wu Sangsing shook his head. Brother has other things to do, we are not together. As for Da Viper, When mentioning Da Viper, a gloomy look flashed in his eyes, but it was soon replaced by, Da Viper has always been clumsy. He accidentally triggered the mechanism before and was directly pierced through the heart. If this guy could be more careful, he would not have died here. Wu Sengxing cursed in grief, as if he was disappointed with his friend. Hearing this, Wu Tianjun felt very uncomfortable. Several people came together, but now Da Viper can never go back. At this moment, the entire cave space, for some unknown reason, began to vibrate violently. A large amount of gravel and dust fell from the surroundings of the cave, and even the Hydra cypress was shaking constantly. Boom! Just at this moment, a loud noise suddenly came, and then everyone saw a blood-red figure directly from a hole in the back, like a cannonball, leaping over everyone's sight, smashing on the wall, and raising a large amount of dust. The blood-red figure quickly climbed up from the ground. His skin was festering, bloody and blurred, his hair was rotten and sparse, and his face was hideous and terrifying. Drops of black and red blood from his body fell to the ground, corroding the ground and emitting wisps of green smoke. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Be careful, this is a blood corpse. Big Zongzi, or a blood corpse, CFFI. This blood corpse is full of poison. Once caught, it will be assimilated and corroded in a very short time, lose its mind, and become a blood corpse. Quote, looking at the bloody and extremely hideous Big Zongzi, Wu Sengxing, Hu Bai and others couldn't help showing fear on their faces. Even Hu Bai and Wang Pangzi, who have now entered the martial arts practice, are extremely afraid of this blood corpse. After all, they are only the first level of the acquired realm. The poison of the blood corpse is extremely terrifying. With their strength, they can't resist this corpse poison at all. Even Ji Yuyi has to be careful, because even he doesn't know whether the 7th level of the acquired realm's true chi can drive away this blood corpse poison. Quote. Quote. Just at this time, the blood corpse did not look at them, but roared angrily at the hole behind. Then, in the sight of everyone, a man with a bare upper body and a unicorn tattoo on his body, holding a black gold ancient knife in his right hand and a blood corpse head in his left hand, with a terrible aura lingering around him, walked step by step. With each step he took, the momentum on his body became stronger. Who else could this person be if not the young man? At this time, his aura of oppression seemed to be 3 times stronger than when he surrounded and killed Emperor Mu before. Seeing everyone, the young man's face did not change. He threw the blood corpse head with his left hand, glanced at the countless evil spirits not far away, and then stared at the blood corpse closely. Menuping, you are finally here. I thought you were in trouble. Quote. Seeing the young man, Wu Tianjun's face immediately showed a happy smile. Old Hu, this young man's aura is a little wrong. Why do I feel that he is stronger than before? Looking at the young man standing there shirtless, Wang Pang asked with some doubt. It's not a feeling, he is indeed stronger than before. At this time, Ji Yuyi stepped forward, staring at the young man, and said in a deep voice. At this time, he is probably not his opponent even in my heyday. The boss once said that the blood of the Zhang family is special. This young man is definitely the core of the Zhang family. I didn't expect that the blood of the Qilin in his body is so strong. I am more curious about what is so magical about this blood power that can make an ordinary person have such a powerful strength. Quote. Ji Yuyi narrowed his eyes slightly. He could feel that the aura of this young man was definitely beyond the 8th level of the acquired heaven, and he was afraid that it had reached the 9th level. With the power of blood, ordinary people have the power of the 9th level of the acquired heaven. What kind of incredible and strange power is this? As the master said, there are many strong people in this world. Even if they don't have martial arts training methods, they still have other different ways to become stronger. Ji Yuyi whispered to himself, with a firm look in his eyes. It seems that he also needs to improve his cultivation as soon as possible, and he must not drag his master's feet. Brother, this is a blood corpse, you have to be careful. Watching the brother step by step, going towards the blood corpse, Wu Tianjun shouted with worry. In an instant, with a roar of the blood corpse, it suddenly rushed towards the brother. But facing the blood corpse rushing over, the brother's face did not change, his body rotated in the air, and before landing, the black gold ancient knife in his right hand carried a powerful force, instantly chopped the blood household. With a puff, sound, the black gold ancient knife actually cut off the blood corpse's neck directly, and the head rolled to the ground. And what a coincidence, coincidentally, it just rolled to a boulder not far away. Seeing the bloody head that suddenly rolled in front of her, Aining almost subconsciously exclaimed, "Ah!" Frightened, Aining quickly jumped up from behind the boulder and looked at the bloody head with fear. She could never forget that it was this bloody corpse that cruelly killed more than a dozen of her companions and even turned her companions into monsters that were neither human nor ghost. "Hey, I didn't expect that there was someone hiding here, and it was a woman." Seeing Aining suddenly appear, Fatty Wong put his hands on his waist and joked in surprise and teasing. Others on the side also began to be alert. "Brother, it's her name is Aining, and she brought me here." Suddenly, Wang Yuban's eyes lit up, pointing at Aining and saying to Wang Pengzi, "What the hell, she is the leader of the group that came before us." Aining. Wang Pengzi frowned and said, "I say, that little BCH, you are not the only one left in your group now, right?" "Brother, it is probably so, otherwise she would not be here alone now," Wang Yuban said with a grin. "Don't move." Suddenly, Aining pulled out a dagger from his thigh and held Wu Tianjun, who was closest to him, hostage. Seeing this scene, Pan Zi quickly raised his gun and shouted, "Let go, Shaosa, or I will let me kill you." "Miss Aining, right, don't get excited." Wu Sengxing was also anxious. This was his beloved nephew. If something happened, how could he explain it to his family? "Don't move, or I'll kill him." Aining looked cold, with a dagger on Wu Tianjun's neck, and pointed at Wang Pengzi coldly and said, "Give me the things in the 8-layer treasure box." "Hey, why should I listen to you?" Wang Pengzi said unhappily. "Hand it over quickly, or I'll kill him." Hearing Aining's words, Wang Pengzi was almost laughing. "Kill him, he's not our man. Once he's in my pocket, don't even think about taking it out, not to mention threatening me." Hearing Wang Pengzi's words, Wu Sengxing and Panzi's faces changed, and even Aining was stunned for half a second. "Miss Aining, we are really two groups of people. How can you help me threaten others?" Quote, Aining obviously didn't expect this situation, but now that it's done, what else can she do? Kang. Suddenly, a stone flew through the air and hit Aining's wrist in an instant. Aining felt a pain in her wrist, and the dagger fell to the ground in an instant. She subconsciously took several steps back. "Young Master San." Pan Zi hurried forward, pulled Wu Tianjun over, and was about to shoot Aining to death. "Pan Zi, wait a minute." Wu Tianjun saw this and hurriedly stopped him. "Pan Zi, she didn't really want to hurt me just now, forget it, forgive her this time." Hearing Wu Tianjun's words, Pan Zi looked back at Wu Sengxing helplessly. Seeing Wu Sengxing nodded imperceptibly, he glared at Aining fiercely, turned around and took Aining to the side. "You should go." At this time, the young man stepped over and said to Wu Sengxing and Wu Tianjun with an expressionless face, "Go." Wu Tianjun looked puzzled. "This two men's here. Climb along this hydra cypress and you will be able to get out there." The young man nodded, but his eyes looked at Wu Sengxing. Wu Sengxing, who seemed to understand something, nodded and said, "Since the young man is satisfied, we really shouldn't stay any longer. Nephew, Pan Zi, let's go." "Yes, third master." Pan Zi nodded respectfully. "Brother Hu, do you want to leave with us?" Hu Bai shook his head and smiled. "How can we leave when the boss hasn't left yet?" "You go first. I think you have already done what you should do and what you should take. There is really no need to stay." Before going down to the tomb, based on the conversation between Wu Sengxing and his master, Hu Bai had already made some guesses. Especially after the separation of the 7 Stars suspicious coffin, he had guessed a lot in the past few days. The reason why Wu Sengxing and his group came to this tomb was not for any funerary objects but for other things. Maybe to take something, or maybe for something. Now, it is obviously successful. Even Hu Bai was guessing whether the purpose of Aining and his group was the same as Wu Sengxing. But he didn't care too much. After all, as his master said, it had nothing to do with them. Wu Sengxing nodded with admiration. This group of people is really not only powerful, but also smart. Well, see you later. After bowing to the others, Wu Sengxing took Wu Tianjun and Pan Zi and prepared to leave here by climbing the Hydra Cypress. But before that, Wu Sengxing walked to the wall, smeared some lime on the green ground, and also slapped some on the two people. Seeing this scene, a gleam of light flashed in Hubba's eyes again. Watching the three people step on the Hydra Cypress, and the Hydra Cypress did not attack the three people, Hubba confirmed his thoughts again. Hey, why didn't Lao Hu's Hydra Cypress attack their master? Fatty Wong said indignantly. He suspected that Wu Sangsing was the biological son of the Hydra Cypress. He did not attack the other party before, and he did not attack it now, and even Wu Tianjun and Pan Zi were not hurt at all. Okay, don't worry about anything else. Hu Bai glared at Fatty Wong in anger, then looked at Aining and said, although I don't know who you are, it's impossible to take things from us. I think you should follow them out. Aining frowned slightly. Although she was a little unwilling, she thought about it and could only go out first. As for returning the same way, she didn't have the ability yet. Aining turned around and limped towards the Hydra Cypress, but Hu Bai spoke again at this time. Wait, before climbing the Hydra Cypress, go to the wall and get some lime to apply on your body. I think there should be unexpected benefits. Aining frowned. Although she was a little reluctant, this group of people had a mysterious origin, and the tomb was also terrifying. Maybe there was indeed some benefit. Aining, who was smeared with lime, climbed up the Hydra Cypress, and the Hydra Cypress did not attack her either. The young man not far away looked at Hu Bai in surprise, and then slowly said, I should leave too. Are you leaving too? Hubba looked at the young man in surprise. As you said before, we have done what we should do and taken what we should take. It is time to leave. The young man nodded and looked at the huge oval-shaped yin evil aura aggregate not far away with a complicated look. He was originally going to kill the guy in the bronze coffin wearing the golden jade clothes and pass on the cloth information he had prepared to everyone in public. But now it seems that there is no need. Wu Sangsing and Wu Tianjun have already left, and the mysterious Ji Yu Chang'e seems to be in the yin evil aggregate. Moreover, he can clearly feel that the breath of the person in the bronze coffin is rapidly weakening. Ji Yu Chang'e will kill it without him. Let's go. After leaving a word, the young man turned around and prepared to climb the Hydra Cypress and leave. But suddenly, he seemed to remember something, turned around and came to the stone platform, and took off a brown thing from the jade belt on the waist of the headless male corpse. I took this Qilin Jia a long time ago. It's useless to you, Shua. As he said that, the young man instantly jumped onto the Hydra Cypress, and then with a few leaps and bounds, he quickly disappeared from everyone's sight. Old Hu, what is Qilin Jia? Fatty Wong asked curiously. That thing seems to be a kind of Chinese medicine. If you take it, it can have a certain ability to repel snakes, insects, rats and ants, and restrain evil spirits. Judging from the color of that thing, it must be thousands of years old. Oh my god, this young man is not authentic. Who said we don't need this thing? Doesn't he have Qilin blood? He actually snatched Qilin Jia from us. After hearing what Hubba said, Fatty Wong couldn't help but complain. Forget it, just give it to him. Hu Ba shook his head, then looked at Ji Yuyi on the side. Teoti, the master is now immersed in cultivation, and we don't know when he will wake up. What should we do next? Ji Yuyi frowned and said, my injuries have not recovered yet, so I will take this opportunity to heal my wounds and restore my true energy. You two can walk around at will. I'm afraid there are still many tombs and artifacts in this tomb. If you are bored, you can go and search for them. Yes, Lao Hu, this tomb is so big, and only a few tombs have appeared so far. I don't believe that there will be nothing in the imperial mausoleum of the Western Zhou dynasty. Fatty Wang's eyes lit up and he spoke quickly. That's right, since we can walk by ourselves. Hubba nodded a little, and he actually thought so. I say, brother, and brother Hu, you can take me with you, I also want to take the opportunity to make some money. Quote. Wang Yuban, who was standing by, heard that the two were going to search other tombs, and his heart moved. He quickly stepped forward with a grin. Okay, you have nothing to do here anyway, so why not come with me? Fatty Wong nodded, and soon the three of them followed the cave that the young man had walked through before and headed inside. Along the way, there were many headless blood corpses, obviously all killed by the young man. But judging from their clothes, they should be the group of people under Aining. They became blood corpses after being infected by the blood corpses, and their strength was not very strong. At the same time, outside the top of the Hydra Cypress cave, Wu Sangsing, Wu Tianjun, and Pan Zi had just walked a few steps when they saw the young man catching up. Menuping, you came out too. Quote, Wu Tianjun said happily. However, at this moment, the young man instantly threw the Qilin Jia into his mouth. The Qilin Jia melted instantly after entering his mouth, causing Wu Tianjun to pinch his throat, frown, and cough several times. Menuping, what did you give me to eat? Why is it so bitter? Qilin Jia. The young man glanced at Wu Tianjun indifferently, then turned and left. He was so fast that he disappeared into the forest in a few breaths. This Menuping came and went without a trace, and he gave me Qilin Jia to eat. Is this thing edible? Wu Tianjun said unhappily. However, Wu Sengxing slapped him on the forehead and said with disdain, what do you know, kid? Qilin Ji is a very precious Chinese medicine. It can restrain evil fruits and drive away snakes, insects, rats and ants. The darker the color of Qilin Ji, the stronger the medicinal effect. The one that the little brother gave you just now is probably at least 1,000 years old. You kids should be happy. Third Master, is this thing so precious? Pan Zi asked with a puzzled look. What else? It is hard to find, especially the 1,000-year-old Qilin Ji. It may not appear in your dream for decades. Wu Sengxing said with a complicated expression and sighed. Third Master, now that my brother has left, only Mr. Ji Yu and his men are left. Who do you think Mr. Ji Yu is? Not only is he extremely powerful, but the people under him are also unimaginable. The strength of Teodi is probably not much worse than that of my brother. Brother Hu is even a gold-grabbing lieutenant, and his skills in feng shui, geomancy, and gold dividing and location setting are amazing. Even Fatty Wong is extremely powerful. I heard from Third Master that he was injured before, but he easily killed 3 Zongzi. How come I haven't heard of such a group of strong men in the underworld before? Hearing Pan Zi's words, Wu Sengxing frowned, and he was also confused. He has been in the underworld for decades. If there is any powerful person in the underworld, there will definitely be no news. It seems that it is necessary to investigate carefully when I go back to find out what the origins of these people are. Perhaps I can ask the president. That guy has lived for a long time and was once the adjutant of the Buddha. He must know a lot of people. I think there should be some clues. In the tomb. Accompanied by the terrifying air waves, an extremely powerful breath of pressure swept out instantly, causing the 9-headed snake cypress to tremble. Innate 3rd level. Ji Yu Chengge suddenly opened his eyes, and a light golden light flashed in his eyes. In a short period of time, his cultivation level actually broke through another level and reached the innate 3rd level. This made him very surprised. Master. At this moment, a shout came. Ji Yu Chengge looked up and saw Ji Yu Yi looking at him with joy on the stone platform not far away. Master, have you broken through? Ji Yu Yi hurried forward and said. Ji Yu Chengge nodded, looked around, raised his eyebrows and asked, where are they? Master, Wu Sengxing and his friends just left not long ago. Now there are only us and Fatty's cousin in this tomb. I was healing just now. Old Hu and Fatty took his cousin to search for other tombs and artifacts. Ji Yu Chengge nodded in understanding. He didn't expect that when he woke up again after practicing, his brother and his friends had left. TX. Suddenly, Ji Yu Chengge looked at the bronze coffin he was sitting on. Wu Sengxing and his brother left before the bronze coffin was opened. Could it be that they didn't want to offend me, and they had already done what they should do, so it didn't matter? Ji Yu Chengge couldn't help showing a touch of surprise and helplessness on his face. Ji Yu Yi, I will teach you a secret technique. This secret technique can devour evil spirits for cultivation, and can even temper the body. In the future, we will often rob tombs. With this secret technique, it will definitely speed up your cultivation progress. Hearing what Ji Yu Chengge said, Ji Yu Yi immediately knelt on one knee and said respectfully, Thank you, Master, for teaching me. Ji Yu Chengge smiled slightly. The great devouring evil secret technique is not something that cannot be passed on to others. Moreover, the evil spirit in the tomb of King Lu is extremely dense. He alone cannot devour it in a short time. It is better to let Ji Yu Yi practice this secret technique to improve his cultivation. Ji Yu Yi is his martial slave. The stronger he is, the more benefits he will have. It's a pity that Ji Yuyi is only at the 7th level of the acquired cultivation now. I'm afraid that the speed of devouring evil spirits is not fast enough. Moreover, he must stop practicing when he devours to a certain extent, otherwise the evil spirit will rush into his mind and it is very likely to make him possessed. Soon, Ji Yu Chengge taught Ji Yuyi the great devouring evil secret technique and asked him to start practicing. Ji Yu Chengge himself continued to devour evil spirits for cultivation. As for Hubai and Wang Pangzi, they are only at the 1st level of acquired cultivation and have just started their martial arts practice. They are not suitable for practicing such secret techniques. This technique requires at least the 5th level of acquired cultivation to try to practice. Even so, you still have to be careful. Only after entering the innate realm can you devour wantonly and quickly improve your cultivation. As time passed bit by bit, half a month passed quickly. In the past half month, Ji Yu Chengge and Ji Yuyi have been immersed in cultivation. With the help of the great devouring evil secret technique, Ji Yuyi's previous injuries have been completely healed, and he has even made several steps forward. His cultivation has actually reached the 9th level of the acquired realm. Even his physical body has become much stronger than before. As for Hubai and Fatty Wang, they had already searched all the tombs in the tomb of King Lu and found a lot of artifacts. Among them, there are several treasures alone, which made Fatty Wang smile so hard that his mouth was almost grinning to the back of his ears. However, after searching for the artifacts, the two did not leave, but began to practice as well. I don't know if it's because of the Son of Luck, or what happened, the two have now broken through to the 2nd level of the acquired realm, and their daily body strength has skyrocketed a lot. As for Wang Yuban, after seeing how powerful several people were, he also pestered Wang Pengzi and wanted to embark on the path of martial arts practice. Unfortunately, without Ji Yu Chengge's permission, he would not teach Wang Yuban to practice privately, even if the other party was his cousin who was closer than his own brother. This made Wang Yuban depressed and helpless. A week ago, he couldn't stand the loneliness here, so he left the tomb of King Lu alone. On this day, a breath of pressure that shook the world suddenly erupted from Ji Yu Chengge. Countless evil spirits instantly poured into his body, and then were instantly refined into true energy and integrated into his dantian. Such a terrifying movement made Hubai and Wang Pengzi look in the direction of Ji Yu Chengge. Old Hu, what realm has the master reached? There is such an incredible fluctuation. Just the pressure, a few dozen meters away, I actually have the urge to kneel down. Looking at Ji Yu Chengge sitting cross-legged on the bronze coffin, Fatty Wang exclaimed with fanatical and admiring eyes. I don't know, how can we peek at the master's cultivation? Asterisk 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 asterisk. Hu Ba shook his head, and he also had unparalleled respect for Ji Yu Chengge in his heart. Swish. At this moment, a figure appeared in front of them in an instant. Teodi, are you out of retreat? Seeing Ji Yuyi standing in front of them, Huba's eyes lit up and said in surprise. Ji Yuyi nodded and smiled. Thank you too for your hard work. Nonsense, why are you saying this? Quote, Fatty Wang waved his hand, and then asked curiously, what realm have you reached now? 9th level of the acquired realm. Ji Yuyi said slowly. What the hell, 9th level of the acquired realm? Half a month ago, you were only 7th level of the acquired realm, and now you are 9th level of the acquired realm. When they heard about Ji Yuyi's current cultivation, Hubai and Fatty Wang widened their eyes, with an incredible look on their faces. In half a month, they broke through from the 1st level of the acquired realm to the 2nd level of the acquired realm, and they thought that their cultivation speed was fast enough, and they were a little complacent in their hearts. But now, compared with Ji Yuyi, they almost died of inferiority. I also learned a secret technique from the master, so I can improve so quickly. As long as you can break through to the 5th level of the acquired realm, I will surely pass it on to you. Looking at the two people's faces with tears on their faces, Ji Yuyi couldn't help but smile and patted their shoulders. As soon as these words came out, the two people's eyes lit up. It seems that they must improve their cultivation as soon as possible so that they can receive the master's secret skills. At this moment, waves of fluctuations came from the air, and all the surrounding aura and pressure instantly dissipated into nothingness. Not far away, Ji Yu Chengge, who was sitting cross-legged on the bronze coffin, suddenly opened his eyes. Swish! There was a faint golden light flashing in it, and then a white smoke was exhaled, instantly piercing the air several meters in front of him. When everything returned to calm, Ji Cheng's eyes showed a hint of garden. This great devouring evil secret art is really the only secret art to practice in this world of thieves. It is really surprising to use various evil spirits to improve cultivation. Ji Chenge muttered to himself, feeling the power he now has in his body, and his heart was even more surprised. In the past half-month, his cultivation has broken through again, and he has broken through 2 levels in a row and stepped into the 5th level of innateness. Even the flesh body, with the help of the evil spirit to temper the body, has reached the 1st level of Dragon Elephant Prajnagong, and it is only 1 step away from reaching the 2nd level. Even so, now he has a punch of 10,000 pounds. That's right, 10,000 pounds of force. This variant version of the high-level Dragon Elephant Prajnagong is much more terrifying than he imagined. The 1st level of entry is 1,000 pounds of force, the perfection is 10,000 pounds of force. Once he breaks through to the 2nd level, there will be an amazing transformation. This technique has 13 levels, and I am afraid that he will be able to possess the power of 13 real dragons and 13 divine elephants. At the same time, after his cultivation entered the 5th level of innateness, his strength has skyrocketed by many times. If the true essence in the Dantian was a sea, it is now like a sea of stars, boundless and vast. After several consecutive breakthroughs, the true essence continued to wash the body, and with the help of the Dragon Elephant Prajna, his meridians and Dantian also underwent a great transformation. It became wider and tougher, and the true essence that could be accommodated became more and more. This was the most pleasing point in Ji Cheng's heart. Although he was in the 5th level of innateness, the amount of true essence was far more vast than that of the 9th level of innateness, or even the martial arts master. System, open my information panel. Ding, opening. Swish. As the system's voice fell, a light curtain that others could not see instantly appeared in front of him. Host, Ji Chenge. Lifespan, 2150ths. Realm, innate 5th level. Kung Fu, mutated version of Gaowu 9 Yang True Scripture, mutated version of Gaowu Dragon Elephant Prajna Kung Fu, Free Ascension Step, Wudang 9 Yang Kung Fu, Flame Knife, Wild Wind Knife. Secret Technique. Martial Arts Chi Viewing Technique, Great Devouring Evil Secret Technique. Items. Virtual Training Room. Martial Slaves. Ji Family 4 Fierce Beasts, Hubayi, Wang Pengzi. Weapons. None. Looking at his current information panel, Ji Chenge unconsciously raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a smile. Master, Master, Master. At this time, 3 calls brought Ji Chenge back to his senses, and he saw Ji Yi, Hubayi, and Wang Pengzi, all bowing respectfully with a look of surprise on their faces. When you 2 enter the 5th level of the acquired realm, I will teach you the secret technique. Ji Chenge smiled faintly at Hubayi and the other 2 who were looking forward to it. Thank you, my lord. Hu Ba. The 2 were surprised when they heard it. Ji Yi, in the short term, you should not use the great devouring evil secret technique anymore. First digest the improved cultivation and let your body relax. Otherwise, it will be easy to breed demons over time. Looking at Ji Yi's current cultivation and his physical condition, Ji Chenge frowned and said in a deep voice. My lord, I understand. Well, although I swallowed most of the evil spirits in the tomb of King Lu, it is still strong. After returning, you can let Ji Yuer and the other 3 come here to practice. Master, if the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th brothers come here to practice the secret art of swallowing evil, their energy cultivation will surely be raised to the 9th level of the acquired realm very soon. Ji Yi said while looking at Ji Chenge with a smile. With their cultivation talent, it is indeed true, but everything has to wait until they come to the tomb of King Lu. This trip to the tomb of King Lu should be completely over now. Ji Chenge smiled faintly, slowly stood up, and landed on the ground lightly like a feather. Master, there is still a bronze coffin here. Before leaving, we must open the coffin to see what treasures there are. Fatty Wong smiled and stared at the bronze coffin with shining eyes while speaking. Such a large bronze coffin, if you say there is no treasure inside, he doesn't believe it. Okay, there is indeed a treasure inside. Quote, Yu Chengge nodded. He almost forgot that there was a person who dreamed of immortality in this coffin. However, he sat on the bronze coffin for half a month, absorbing evil spirits to practice. The evil spirit condensed on this person. Song was afraid that it had been swallowed up by Jujuling. Whether it would become a big Zongzi for thousands of years, even he didn't know. But the golden jade clothes were a good treasure. With so much money to pursue immortality, if this thing was sold, it would probably be sold at a sky-high price. Old Hu, why are you still standing there? Open the coffin quickly. Quote. Seeing that Hu Bai was still standing there in a daze, Fatty Wong hurriedly urged him and went forward to study the bronze coffin. I say, Lao Hu, shouldn't you, the tomb raider, light a candle in the southeast corner before opening the coffin? Why don't you follow the rules passed down by the ancestors now? Looking at the two people studying the coffin, Ji Yuyi couldn't help but joke. Teodi, you are talking about something else. The rules are for people who are not strong enough. At the tomb of the general of the Jin dynasty, the master said that the tomb raider must keep up with the times, so he used a flashlight to play the candle, but he didn't expect that the flashlight would explode later. Later, after I embarked on the road of martial arts practice, I thought that the rules set by our ancestors were not suitable for our generation. No matter whether the corpse is raised or not, the funerary objects must be taken, and the Zongzi must die. I have to open the coffin to kill the Zongzi anyway, why should I light a candle? Hubba shook his head, and then said with a proud face, as if he had become a tomb raider who kept up with the times, and how proud he was. As the lid of the bronze coffin was pushed open, everyone discovered that the lid weighed hundreds of pounds and was inlaid very tightly. If it weren't for the two people's practice, their strength was not comparable to that of ordinary people. If they wanted to push the lid open, they would have to use a lot of strength. After the lid of the coffin was completely opened, everyone looked inside and found that there was a layer of coffin lid inlaid with Mana's jade. Oh my god, why is there another coffin underneath? But hey, such a big piece of jade, how much is it worth? Looking at the coffin inlaid with a layer of jade inside, Wang Pengzi couldn't hide the smile on his face no matter what. Fatty, these are all Mana's jade, not worth much, but if you take them all back, such a big piece, it must be no problem to be worth millions. Take it back in one piece. When Fatty Wang heard this, he was stunned at first, then he looked at Yu Chengge with a flattering face and said, Master, you have to help us. Lao Hu and I have a big family to support, and we are waiting for money to buy old medicinal materials for cultivation. This costs money. Okay, take it down, I will take it back. Yu Chengge waved his hand and said with a bit of laughter. 2 layers of coffins and 3 layers of coffins, this is the regulation of the princes during the Warring States period. Fatty, open this jade coffin. Okay. When the two opened the jade coffin, Yu Chengge waved his hand and put it into the system space. Under the jade coffin was a lacquered wooden coffin lid. When the last coffin was opened, everyone realized what was inside. There was actually a person lying inside, wearing some kind of armor, but actually jade pieces. Beside him, there was also an ancient wooden box. Tisk tisk, sir, there's something wrong with this guy. Does he still have a heartbeat? Seeing the figure lying in the jade corridor, Ji Yuyi smacked his lips and said teasingly. I don't know if this guy is King Lu or Tai Miansheng. No matter which one it is, he is not a good guy. Since we have met him, let him die without a burial place later. Yu Chengge said calmly. Swish, he stretched out his right hand, and a strong suction force instantly turned the wooden box into his hand. The wooden box was not locked. When he opened it, there was nothing except an ancient cloth. Sir, what is this? Fatty Wang asked curiously. The things inside have been taken away by Wu Sengxing or the little brother. This cloth was just left here to confuse others. Here, this wooden box is made of good material. It can be worth a lot if you take it back. Yu Chengge threw the wooden box to Fatty Wang casually, and then opened the cloth to take a closer look. The content on it was indeed no different from what he imagined. Buzz. As the true essence surged, the cloth spontaneously combusted and turned into ashes. My lord, this thing seems to be the legendary golden jade clothes, right? At this time, Hu Bai pointed at the jade corner with some uncertainty and asked doubtfully. At the same time, he was extremely excited. If this is really the golden jade clothes, then they are really rich. The golden jade clothes are legendary items that can contain the power of immortality. Although they disdain it, if it is placed outside, it can be worth at least several hundred million, or even more expensive. It's the golden jade cloth, but this thing must be untied from the inside, otherwise it will collapse directly and be worthless. But the owner inside is not completely dead yet. Once the golden jade cloth is untied, I'm afraid it will immediately turn into a blood corpse and become the lord of the blood moon for 2 or 3 years. So, I'm afraid I have to do it myself. As he said, Yu Chengge put his right hand together to form a sword, and strands of true energy burst out, instantly blending into the golden jade cloth, and began to wander along the golden thread of the golden jade cloth. When he found the thread end, he thought about it, and the true energy instantly pulled the thread end apart. As the thread end opened, the entire golden jade cloth fell off instantly. Swish! Yu Chengge waved his right hand and directly put the golden jade cloth into the system space. Oh no, master, this thing opened its eyes. Suddenly, Hubba exclaimed violently, and saw that at the moment when the golden jade cloth fell off, the owner suddenly opened his eyes. Roar! Angry, resentful, and unwilling eyes accompanied by a roar resounded throughout the cave. A terrifying bloody aura burst out from his body, and then his flesh began to rot immediately, and his face became extremely hideous in an instant. Hey, this guy is about to transform into a blood corpse. With such an amazing bloody aura, if he becomes a blood corpse, he must be a corpse king level existence. His strength is probably not much weaker than the previous Mu Tianzi, right? Looking at this scene in front of him, Ji Yuyi frowned and couldn't help but sighed. This guy has lived for nearly 3,000 years. If he really becomes a blood corpse king, his strength is really not inferior to the previous Mu Tianzi. It's a pity that he is no different from an ant to me. Yu Chengge shook his head. Facing this blood corpse king whose strength is not inferior to Mu Tianzi, his expression did not fluctuate at all. When he was at the first level of the innate realm, he could easily kill Emperor Mu, let alone the 5th level of the innate realm now. Even if this blood corpse king is as powerful as Emperor Mu, so what? After all, it is just something that can be crushed to death at will. Boring. Yu Chengge shook his head, and used his right hand as a knife, and instantly burst out a hot blade light, blasting towards the opponent. There was a loud boom, and the terrible blade light actually cut the blood corpse king, which had not yet completely transformed, in half. In addition, the terrifying hot blade energy raged on its entire body, crushing it into ashes in an instant, leaving a huge hideous gully on the ground. It's a pity that the blood corpse king, who had lived for nearly 3,000 years, died tragically in Yu Chengge's hands before he had completely transformed. Let's go. It's just a blood corpse king. There's no need to wait. Yu Chengge didn't even look at the gully on the ground. He turned around and took a step. He jumped directly onto the Hydra Cypress. With a light step, he used the immortal step, which made him jump hundreds of meters and directly arrived at the top of the cave. The sun shone down and the breeze blew across his face, making Yu Chengge feel as if he was in another world. Swish, swish, swish. At this time, with 3 sounds of breaking through the air, Ji Yuyi, Hubba Yi, and Fatty Wong also jumped up from below. Master, should we go back to the capital directly or? Looking at Yu Chengge's back, Ji Yu asked in a low voice. You should go back to the capital first. I have to go to Suzhou and Hangzhou to see Wu Sangxing. Yu Chengge shook his head slightly when he heard this. Now, only the last sign in task issued by the system has not been completed. That is to sign in at Wu Lagu's grave. Wu Lagu's grave is almost unknown to outsiders, so he had to go to Suzhou and Hangzhou. Fortunately, Wu Sangxing had promised him before that he would take her to Wu Sangxing's grave, so things were much simpler. Let's go. Go down the mountain first, and then leave here overnight. Yes, my lord. Since ancient times, there has been a saying that there is heaven above and Suzhou and Hangzhou below. As a famous city in the Jiangnan area, Suzhou and Hangzhou have developed very well in all aspects, although it is only 2001 now. If the only thing that is criticized is probably the food. Of course, nothing is absolute. At this time, in a restaurant near the West Lake, looking at the fish head tofu soup in the bowl in front of him, Yu Chengge couldn't help but twitch a little. Whose fish head tofu soup? The fish head is the fish head, and the tofu is the tofu. Putting the two together, it is like a bowl of boiling water with a fish head and a few pieces of tofu, clear to the bottom. Oh, and put a little chopped green onion. Forget it, let's go find Wu Tianjun first. Ji Chang'e shook his head helplessly, and then got up and walked out of the restaurant, walking along the West Lake. He remembered that in the original time and space, Wu Tianjun's Wushangju was located on the edge of the West Lake. If you want to find Wu Sangxing, it is naturally his eldest nephew, who is the most convenient. After walking along the West Lake for a while, he saw an ancient door with 3 big characters written on it, Wushangju. Tisk. This is Wu Tianjun's Wushangju, it looks pretty good. Looking at the Wushangju in front of him, Ji Chang'e smiled faintly and then stepped in. As soon as he entered the gate of Wushangju, he saw a rather retro courtyard. Not far away, there was a stone table and several stone benches, and several rooms on both sides. The precious color is mainly vermilion lacquer, which looks pretty good. Is this gentleman 25 going to buy antiques and cultural relics? Come in and take a look. Just then, a young man walked out of the room, and when he saw Ji Chang'e, his face suddenly overflowed with a warm smile. Where is your boss Wu Tianjun? Ji Chang'e asked calmly. Looking for our boss. When the young man heard it, the smile on his face froze, and then he shouted impatiently into the room, Boss, someone is looking for you. Really, I just sit in front of the computer every day, and I haven't received my salary from last month. The young man muttered, and ignored Ji Chang'e, turning around and walking towards the other side of the room. Could this guy be Wang Meng? By the way, has Wu Tianjun ever paid him a salary? Seeing this scene, Ji Chang'e was happy. Wang Meng is unlucky to follow a boss like Wu Tianjun. He helps to look after the store every day, but he doesn't get a penny of salary, and sometimes he doesn't get any subsidies. This kind of life may have to be maintained for many years. However, this guy is indeed loyal and righteous, and in the end he risked his life to help Wu Tianjun complete the plan to flatten the Wang family. Who is it? Who is looking for me? At this time, a familiar voice sounded from the house, and then a young man came out. Who else could it be if not Wu Tianjun? Mr. Ji. When he saw Ji Chang'e, Wu Tianjun was stunned and shouted in surprise. Mr. Ji, how come you have time to come to my Wushangju? Come in, come in. Wu Tianjun hurriedly ushered Ji Chang'e into the house, and then shouted to the house opposite, Wang Meng, go and pour a cup of tea, use my collection of rain-front longjing. Walking into the house, Ji Chang'e looked at the various antiques placed on the table in the room. Although he himself could not distinguish antiques and cultural relics and did not have a deep understanding of this kind, he was in this business after all. Especially after opening the ancient and modern pavilion, he knew more or less. In addition, after entering the practice, his perception soared, and he could clearly perceive the slight breadth of time in antiques and cultural relics. At a glance, he knew that the antiques in the room were all fakes, not a single real one. I say, Wu Tianjun, you are the third master of the Wu family of Jiamen, it is too embarrassing for your Wu family, you can tolerate a room full of fakes. Ji Chang'e shook his head and chuckled while sitting on the chair. Silly, Mr. Ji, you don't know, after I graduated, my family didn't give me money, but my third uncle gave me this Wushangju. I also want to change this room full of fakes, but I don't have money. Wu Tianjun looked helpless. If he really had money, why would he use fakes to fill the storefront? He still owed Wang Meng several months of salary. Your tea. At this time, Wang Meng came in with a cup of tea, blocked the table, and then looked at Ji Chang'e with curiosity. For so long, he has never seen his boss so enthusiastic to others. But Wang Meng didn't look at him much, just glanced at him, and turned out. Forget it, let's not talk about me, Mr. Ji, why are you here at Wushangju? I came here specifically to find your third uncle, but I don't know where your third uncle lives, so I came to ask you for directions. Ji Chang'e picked up the teacup, and as soon as the lid was opened, he could smell a faint fragrance. After taking a sip, Ji Chang'e closed his eyes slightly, then nodded and smiled. Top quality pre-rain longjing, this thing is not easy to make. Single quote. Mr. Ji, just get used to it, this is what I got from my third uncle. Hearing Ji Yu Chenggi's praise, Wu Tianjun couldn't help but smile happily. He knew how amazing this master was. In his eyes, he was a god. If he could establish a good relationship with him, it would be beneficial in every way. Mr. Ji Yu, my third uncle has been staying in Suzhou and Hangzhou for a while. It's easy for you to find him, but my third uncle should be checking the accounts at the market at this time. How about this, I'll invite you to have a meal at Luelu. After we finish eating, I'll take you to find my third uncle. Ji Yu Chengge heard this and didn't refuse. He nodded and said, in that case, that's fine. Come on, Mr. Ji Yu, the food at Luelu tastes good. Please taste it today. Quote. The two of them left Wushanju and didn't drive. They were tired and came to a restaurant after a few steps. It must be said that the food in Luelu is really good, at least much better than the previous restaurant. The two of them ate something and chatted casually. After eating, under the leadership of Wu Tianjun, the two of them went to a villa area in Suzhou and Hangzhou without stopping. As soon as he entered the house, he started yelling loudly. What are you yelling about? What do you want me to do? Wu Sengxing, wearing a home suit, walked down from the second floor impatiently and said unhappily. Hey, Uncle San, look who I brought. Wu Tianjun grinned, and it happened that Wu Sengxing walked down the stairs at this time and saw Ji Yu Chengge who had just walked in. When he saw Ji Yu Chengge, Wu Sengxing's pupils shrank suddenly, and a surprised smile appeared on his face and said, it turned out to be Mr. Ji Yu. I was wondering why my eldest nephew suddenly came to me. Mr. Ji Yu, please clear the seat. Quote. As he said that, Wu Sengxing glared at Wu Tianjun and said, go, make 2 cups of tea. You two, you didn't even inform me that Mr. Ji Yu was here. Hey, didn't I bring Mr. Ji Yu with me? Wu Tianjun rolled his eyes in annoyance, then turned and walked into the inner room. Mr. Ji Yu, why are you here this time? Sitting down from the sofa, Wu Sengxing asked in a low voice with some curiosity. What, Mr. Wu San forgot our agreement. I said that I admire your father very much and want to visit your father's grave. Single quote. Ji Yu Chengge didn't care about Wu Sengxing's test, but smiled faintly. Silly, this is easy. I'll take you there later. But Mr. Ji Yu came to Suzhou and Hangzhou this time, is it really for my old man? Wu Sengxing heard this, and a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. He didn't believe that Ji Yu Chengge really admired his old man. Since the other party wanted to go to his old man's grave, there must be other purposes. In fact, since he returned to Suzhou and Hangzhou from the tomb of King Lu, he immediately sent people to investigate Ji Yu Chengge's background. And he also went there in person. He went to the New Moon Hotel in Beijing and asked Zhang Rishan about it. He was shocked when he asked. It turned out that the mysterious Ji Yu Chengge was actually half a member of the Nine Gates. Zhang had already told him about Ji Yu Chengge's origins. He actually had a close relationship with the Blackback Sixth of the Nine Gates. He was adopted by Aunt Bai when he was young, and later opened an antique shop called Gujin Pavilion in Panjiayuan and Lulacheng in Beijing. Ji Yu Chengge was not well known in the underworld, but the 4 fierce beasts of the Ji Yu family under his command are well known in the world. And Zhang Yushan actually wants Ji Yu Chengge to replace Blackback Old Six and become the leader of the 6th gate of the 9 gates. This point, Wu Sengxing was naturally very happy. After all, if the 9 gates can have Ji Yu Chengge's joining, it will definitely increase its strength. Even the Wang family will have to be cautious. This is also a great help to his next plan. It's a pity that Wu Sengxing really doesn't have the confidence to let such a strange person like Ji Yu Chengge join the 9 gates. Mr. Wu Sengxing should have investigated my information, right? At this moment, Ji Yu Chengge suddenly smiled lightly, looked at Wu Sengxing and said lightly. Duh. Feeling Ji Yu Chengge's gaze, Wu Sengxing was shocked, and then smiled awkwardly. Mr. Ji Yu is serious, but I didn't deliberately investigate you. After coming out of the tomb of King Lu, I had a casual chat with Zhang Yushan, the president of the 9 Gates Association. I didn't expect that President Zhang knew Mr. Ji Yu, so he subconsciously asked a few questions. Og. Ji Yu Chengge saw through Wu Sengxing's backstabbing of Zhang Yushan. For him, his identity was not hidden, and he didn't care that the fact that he was adopted by Aunt Bai was known to outsiders. With his current realm and cultivation, all conspiracies and tricks are just some small tricks. In the face of absolute strength, these things will be broken with a single poke, and they are nothing at all. Mr. Gu, President Zhang intends to let you take over the sixth gate. What do you think? Wu Sangxing smiled, and then asked tentatively. What do I think? The 9 gates are no longer the 9 gates of the past. With internal and external troubles, if they continue, they will disappear in the dust sooner or later. Quote. But what does this have to do with me? Ji Chang'e shook his head and smiled. There is no need to join the 9 gates. These things are meaningless to me. I was adopted by Aunt Bai, but Aunt Bai is not from the 9 gates. What do you think, Mr. Wu San? Mr. Gu is right, but I don't think President Zhang will give up so easily. Wu Sangxing heard this and smiled bitterly. That's his business. Okay, I won't drink the tea. Let's go directly to your father's grave. After paying tribute to your father, I have to go back to the capital. Chapter 71. Is this your father's grave? In a cemetery area in Suzhou and Hangzhou City. Ji Chang'e looked at Wu Sangxing next to him with a surprised look, and then looked at the cemetery in front of him, which was extremely ordinary. Around it, there were many other graves of the same specifications. No one could have imagined that the grave of Wu Lagu, a dignified Wu family of Jiamen, would be so ordinary. Although the Wu family of Jiamen seemed to be in decline in recent years, it was actually more powerful than others in their eyes. Wu Lagu had 3 sons. The eldest son Yichong was a famous scholar, and his wife's family was not to be underestimated. The second son Erbai, although he never cared about the affairs of Jiamen on weekdays, actually controlled the 11th warehouse at a high speed. The 11th warehouse was the largest warehouse in the entire Jiamen, and even in the tomb robbing world. Not only Jiamen would store things in the 11th warehouse, but other colleagues in the tomb robbing world would also do so. Even, in addition to the tomb robbing world, other forces would also put some troubles into the Zhang. In addition to the 11th warehouse, Wu Erbai's subordinates also control a lot of forces and businesses in the underworld. In terms of strength, he is the most powerful person in the Wu family. And Wu Sangxing is a well-known villain in the underworld. The whole Suzhou and Hangzhou market is basically decided by Wu Sangxing. The grave of the former head of the powerful Jiamen Wu family, Wu Lagu, is actually such a small cemetery in front of him. No one would believe it. However, Ji Chang'e also knew that this cemetery could only be said to be Wu Lagu's cenotaph. His ashes were definitely still in the old house of the Wu family. It was impossible for him to be buried here. Ding, a sign in location was found. Do you want to start signing in? Listening to the system voice coming from his ears, Ji Chang'e nodded secretly and said, sign in. At this time, he was too lazy to care about Wu Lagu's cenotaph, why it was placed here. There was no use thinking so much, his ultimate goal was just to sign in. Ding, signing in. Sign in successfully. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully at Wu Lagu's grave and receiving a bottle of Dragon Tiger Bone Blood Pill as a reward. Dragon Tiger Bone Blood Pill made from the bones and blood of dragons and white tigers in a martial arts world, it can help the host quickly improve their cultivation and temper their bodies. 12 pills in 1 bottle. Ding, host, do you want to receive the reward? Listening to the introduction of the system in his mind, Ji Chang'e couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and said immediately, receive. Ding, rewards are being distributed. Distribution completed, the pills have been placed in the system space, and the host can use them at any time. Feeling that there was indeed an extra white jade porcelain bottle in the system space, Ji Chang'e's mouth corners couldn't help but curl up slightly. Although he didn't get any powerful skills from signing in at Wu Lagu's grave this time, it was also very good to get a bottle of pills. After all, as far as skills are concerned, he is not short of them for the time being. The 2 techniques, the variant version of the High Martial Arts 9 Yang True Scripture and the Dragon Elephant Prajna Sutra, can at least allow him to cultivate to the martial arts Golden Elixir or even the martial arts Yuan Shen realm. What he really lacks at the moment is this kind of elixir that can assist in cultivation. The Dragon Tiger Bone Blood Pill can not only allow him to condense his true essence, but also temper his body, which is much more effective than some techniques. The only regret is that there is only 1 bottle of 12 pills, and I don't know when I will get this kind of elixir next time. Mr. Wu San, I have already paid tribute to your father. The trip to Suzhou and Hangzhou has come to an end, and I should leave. Backquote. Quote. Looking at Ji Chengge in front of him, Wu Sengxing narrowed his eyes slightly, and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. He really couldn't understand, and didn't know what Ji Chengge wanted to do. Adopted by Aunt Bai since childhood, without anyone teaching him, he has all kinds of incredible abilities. Even the true qi and sword light in film and television dramas can be displayed, which is a bit subverting his worldview. But the world is so big that there are all kinds of wonders, even zongzi and female ghosts, and he can accept these. But such a mysterious and powerful person, who has never had any intersection with his father, wants to come to his father's grave to worship. This is totally unreasonable. As for the words of admiration for his father, he didn't believe a word of it. Originally, he thought Ji Chengge wanted to do something in front of his father's grave, but since coming here, apart from a simple worship, he didn't do anything at all. Now he even asked to leave directly. How could Wu Sengxing not be confused? Of course, thinking this in his heart, Wu Sengxing smiled on the surface and said, Mr. Ji, since you have come to Suzhou and Hangzhou, I must do my best to be a good host no matter what, and it's getting late now, and it will be dark soon. How about this? I'll treat you tonight, let's have a good drink, and then go back to the capital tomorrow. Hearing Wu Sengxing's words, Ji Chengge looked up at the sky, then thought for a while and nodded in agreement. This made Wu Sengxing smile even bigger. Being able to make friends with Ji Chengge, this is only good for him and no harm. Maybe one day he will need help from others. That night, Wu Sengxing called Wu Tianjun and Pan Zi to accompany him, and had a good meal with Ji Chengge, which lasted until midnight. The next day, Ji Chengge went to the airport early in the morning and headed straight to Beijing. Beijing. Ji Mansion. Master, you are back. As soon as he entered the courtyard, he saw the four fierce beasts of the Ji family, Hubayi, Wang Pengzi, Yingzi and others sitting together. When they saw Ji Chengge, everyone stood up with surprise. Master, I heard that you are going to teach us a secret technique. Is it true? Ji San looked at Ji Chengge expectantly. After Ji Yi and others came back, they learned that Ji Yi had broken through to the 9th level of the acquired realm, and they almost envied them to death. They worked hard in seclusion, and finally broke through to the 7th level of the acquired realm. Originally, they thought that they had caught up with Ji Yi, but who knew that after following the master to a tomb, Ji Yi actually reached the 9th level of the acquired realm. At first, they thought Ji Yi had some adventure, but when they learned that the master had taught him a secret technique, they were relieved. After all, since the master has taught Ji Yi, he will not forget them. Yes, you three have not been idle these days, and you have all reached the 7th level of the acquired realm. After I pass on the secret art of swallowing evil to you, you three will set off to the tomb of King Lu. After feeling the aura of Ji Ji San, and Ji Si at the 7th level of the acquired realm, Ji Chengge nodded with satisfaction. Thank you, Master. Ji clasped his hands and bowed respectfully. Ji Hunden. He is only a few months younger than Ji Yi, but his personality is the most serious and the most polite among the four. On weekdays, if Ji San and Ji Si did something wrong, they would be reprimanded by Ji Okay, we have gained a lot from the tomb of King Lu this time. Have you dealt with all the artifacts? Ji Chengge waved his hand, walked to the stone bench on the side, and asked casually. My lord, there are indeed quite a few artifacts brought back from the tomb of the King of Lu this time, and they are all in good condition, including quite a few treasures. Uncle Yuanfu estimated that if all of them are sold, the account will be around 200 million. Ji answered respectfully with a serious expression. 200 million, it seems that you two have plundered the entire tomb of the King of Lu. Quote. Hearing that this batch of artifacts could be sold for 200 million, Ji Chengge looked at Hubai and Fatty Wang in surprise. Hee, my lord, you don't know that when the lord was in seclusion, Lao Hu and I found several tombs. Wow, there are really a lot of good things. Fatty Wang rubbed his hands and grinned. After all, they are all things from the Warring States period and the Western Zhou dynasty, so they are naturally valuable. Ji Chengge nodded and said in a deep voice, I still have a square bronze tripod and a set of chimes here. Ji Yi, find someone to build a secret room at home, and collect the things that are difficult to deal with in the future. Yes, my lord. Ji Chang'e did not intend to deal with these large bronzes. After all, these are all treasures, different from ordinary antiques. As for the golden jade clothes, it is just a delusion of a group of people who pursue immortality. It is useless to keep them in your hands, and it will be worry-free to sell them. Okay, why are you all surrounding me? Do what you should do. Looking at the people around him, Ji Chang'e waved his hand and drove them all out. Without a group of people, he sat leisurely on the recliner and closed his eyes to rest. After 2 days of leisurely days, he passed the secret technique of swallowing the evil to Ji San, and Ji Si, and sent them to the tomb of King Lu. As for the funerary objects brought out from the tomb of King Lu, they were quickly dealt with under the connections of Ji Li Jiao Jin Pavilion. In total, he received more than 230 million, more than 30 million more than he had imagined. He divided the money among Fatty Wang, Hu Bai and Ji Yi, each of whom received 23 million. As soon as the money was in hand, Fatty Wang and Hu Bai went all over the capital to buy medicinal materials of the previous year, and even asked people to buy them all over the country. As soon as the medicinal materials were in hand, they began to practice hard. Time flew by, and a month passed quickly. In the past month, after a few days of leisure, Ji Chang'e also began to practice hard. Every day, he either entered the virtual practice room to practice, or took a dragon tiger bone blood pill every 3 to 5 days. In a month, his cultivation level went further, and he directly broke through from the 5th level of innate to the 6th level of innate. As for the dragon elephant Prajnagong, it never reached the 2nd level, but his body was tempered to be stronger. Originally, it only had 10,000 jin of strength, but under the effect of the dragon tiger bone blood pill in the virtual training room, it has now reached 30,000 jin of strength, a 3-fold increase. 30,000 jin of strength, just the strength of the physical body, is enough to blow up a 1,000-year-old Zongzi. Ding, posting sign in task 1, please sign in front of Yin Nanfang, sign in successfully, you can get a system reward. Ding, posting sign in task 2, please sign in at Kunlun Glacier 9-story Demon Tower, sign in successfully, you can get a system reward. Ding, posting sign in task 3, please sign in at Prince Gumo's tomb, sign in successfully, you can get a system reward. Ding, posting sign in task 4, please sign in at Jingju Ancient City, sign in successfully, you can get a system reward. Ding, posting sign in task 5, please sign in at Ghost Cave, sign in successfully, you can get a system reward. Ji Chang'e, who was half lying on the rocking chair, listened to a series of system voices that suddenly popped up in his mind, sat up subconsciously, and looked strange. It has been more than a month since he came back from the tomb of King Lu. During this time, in addition to daily practice, he stayed in the mansion leisurely and did not go anywhere. And Ji Yu'er and the other two had returned more than 20 days ago. With the help of the great devouring evil secret art, the 3 of them entered the 9th level of the acquired realm. In addition to the 3 of them, Hubayi and Wang Pengzi also broke through again with the help of a large amount of medicinal materials and reached the 3rd level of the acquired realm, and their strength increased several times. I thought I could continue to relax for a while, but I didn't expect that the system would actually release 5 sign-in tasks at one time today. Except for the sign-in task 1, the others were actually related to the Jingju Ancient City. Is this the Jingju Ancient City plot started? Ji Chang'e raised his eyebrows, stood up from the rocking chair, and walked to the pavilion next to him. To be honest, Ji Chang'e really didn't want to go to the Jingju Ancient City for the time being. He didn't care about the dangers in the Jingju Ancient City itself, even if the Queen of Jingju didn't die, he didn't care. With his current strength, he really didn't fear the other party. Even though the boundless demon pupils were weird, he had the innate 6th level of cultivation, and he really didn't believe that the other party could do anything to him. What really made him afraid was the ghost cave under the abyss. After all, there was an ancient god involved there. Even though the snake god had already fallen and his soul had fallen into a deep sleep, who knew if he would wake up at the critical moment? With his current strength, he was really no match for the snake god. But since the system had issued the sign-in task, he naturally had no intention of retreating. If he completed those sign-in tasks along the way, perhaps he could further improve his strength. By then, even if the snake god's soul awakened, he would have some confidence. However, the 9-story demon tower and the tomb of Prince Gumo in the Jingju ancient city must contain a lot of evil spirits. We can call Ji Yuyi and the others to take the opportunity to improve their cultivation. Ji Yu Chengge muttered to himself, then turned around and prepared to go out. At present, the system check in Task 1 is in the capital, so he naturally has to go to the Crescent Hotel. Besides, it's time to deal with the golden jade clothes that he has kept in the system space. Waiter, prepare the car. Outside the Ji Yu mansion, Ji Yu Chengge sat in the back seat of the car, looking at Ji Yuer, who looked respectful outside, and said, "Waiter, go and notify them to purchase more supplies. We will go on a long journey tomorrow." "Boss, what are we preparing for?" Hearing that he was going on a long journey, Ji Yuer's body shook, a gleam of light flashed in his eyes, and he asked tentatively. "Well, tell them that this time we go out together, it may take quite some time, so we need to purchase more supplies." Ji Yu Chengge nodded, expressionless. "Yes, boss, I understand." Ji Yuer hurriedly replied respectfully after hearing this. How could he not understand what Ji Yu Chengge meant? Obviously, they were going to go out to rob tombs again, and this time they were all going with them. This made Ji Yuer very excited and happy. After all, being able to rob tombs with the master was much better than staying in the capital. Besides, the tombs were full of evil spirits, and they could also use the great devouring evil secret technique to improve their own cultivation. Why not do it? Let's go. As Ji Yu Chengge said, the driver immediately started the car and drove towards the Crescent Hotel. The driver was a waiter specially selected by Ji Yuyi and his friends. The business of Gujin Pavilion was extremely hot now, and the two stores were large. Ji Yuyi and his friends were busy practicing now, so they recruited some waiters. These waiters were carefully selected by them, enough loyal, and good at doing things. However, apart from the 4 fierce beasts of the Ji Yu family and Hubai, Ji Yu Chengge didn't trust any of the others. It was impossible to bring them with him when robbing graves. In addition to the issue of loyalty, bringing these people with him was also a burden. Of course, it was still very good to use them to help out and run errands. Watching the car disappear from sight, Ji Yuer turned and walked towards Panjiayuan. Not long after, he came to a small courtyard. This small courtyard was bought by Hubai and Fatty Wang. Although the two were still practicing in the Ji Yu mansion, they basically came back here to rest. Ji Yuer pushed open the courtyard door with familiarity and walked in directly. Just after passing through the back house, he saw Hubai, Fatty Wang and a wretched-looking man sitting in the courtyard chatting about something. The man was skinny, and when he smiled, you could see a gold tooth embedded in his teeth. Ji Yuer also knew this man. He was the famous Da Jinya in Panjiayuan. During this period, Hu Peng and the other two got to know Da Jinya, and the three of them hit it off immediately, and they often hung out together. Sometimes, when they didn't notice it, the strength shown by Hu Peng and the other two would make Da Jinya astonished, and now he almost became their lackey. Later, when he accidentally learned that Hu Baiyi was actually a tomb raider, he became even more attentive. Especially when he heard that Hu Peng and the other two were now the subordinates of the behind-the-scenes boss of Gujin Pavilion, Da Jinya was even more surprised. After all, who doesn't know how popular Gujin Pavilion's business is now? Gujin Pavilion is definitely the best in the entire Beijing antique and cultural circles, and no one can compare to it in Panjiayuan and Lulacheng, CFCB. Even many big forces, after hearing about the ancient and modern pavilion, wanted to secretly make a move, but in the end they all returned empty-handed. It can be seen that the strength of the boss behind the ancient and modern pavilion is extraordinary, and he is definitely not an ordinary person. "Hey, brother Hun Dun, how did you get here when you have time?" Wang Pengzi, who was sitting in the yard chatting about gossip, stood up and joked when he saw Ji Yuer. Second Master Ji Yu, seeing that the person coming was Ji Yuer, Da Jinya stood up quickly, with an extremely flattering expression. The 4 fierce men of the ancient and modern pavilion, who in the entire Kyoto antique and cultural circle does not know. This second master Ji Yu is called Ji Yu Hun Dun, and he is even more notorious. He has to be careful when dealing with him. "Old Hu, Fatty, the boss asked me to inform you to purchase some supplies. We are going on a long journey tomorrow. Ji Yuer glanced at Da Jinya lightly, and then said to Fatty Hu and the others. Going far away. Hearing this, Hu Bai and Wang Pengzi looked at each other, and both of them showed a gleam in their eyes. Are they going to rob tombs again? Wang Pengzi was pleasantly surprised. Going to tombs is good. Going to tombs more often, earning more money, and buying some medicinal materials, which can also help them practice. You know, the older the medicinal materials, the more expensive they are. A 50-year-old wild ginseng costs at least tens of thousands, but at most 2 children will consume it all. If it reaches hundreds of years, it will start at hundreds of thousands. In order to improve their cultivation faster, the two of them have taken hundreds of years of medicinal materials and boiled medicinal meals. Remember to purchase more supplies. This time I may be out for a long time. I will notify others, you as soon as possible. After instructing Hu Peng and the others, Ji Yuer did not stay for long and turned around and left here. Hu Yi, Peng Yi, are you two going to rob tombs? After Ji Yuer left, Da Jinya asked tentatively. Ha ha. Big gold teeth, we must listen to the boss about this matter. We don't know what it is yet. Fatty Wang laughed. Although they have been getting along well with Big Gold Teeth for a while, they won't say a word about the master's affairs. I understand. Big Gold Teeth was not angry at this, and then sighed. I was going to recommend you to go to the archaeological team. Professor Chen of the archaeological team is an old friend of my father. I heard that he was going to find the ancient country of Jingju. It's a pity that the ancient country of Jingju has been buried in the yellow sand for more than 2,000 years. Who knows where it is? This is not only that he asked me to find people who are proficient in Tianxing Feng Shui. I want to be their leader, so I recommended Master Hu. I didn't expect Master Hu to go on a long journey again. Jingju ancient country, Tianxing Feng Shui bed. Hubba looked at Big Gold Teeth in surprise when he heard this, and then shook his head and said, Big Gold Teeth, our line contacting the archaeological team would be like walking into a trap. Besides, we won't take private jobs without the boss's permission. As for the matter of the ancient country of Jingju, let them find someone else. Fatty and I have to go out to purchase supplies. Remember to close the door when you leave. As he said that, Hubba dragged Fatty Wang out of the yard, leaving Da Jinya no chance to speak. Looking at the backs of Fatty Hu and the other man, Da Jinya sighed helplessly, then took out a mobile phone from his pocket and dialed. Hello, Uncle Chen, I'm really sorry, my friend who knows the Tianxing Feng Shui technique is afraid that he can't be your team leader. No, they have something urgent to do and have to go on a long trip. Looking for it again. This thing is not easy to find. Okay, on the other side, in a private room at the Crescent Hotel. Mr. Ji Yu, you said you have a business to do with our Crescent Hotel. A woman in a light pink cheongsam looked at the young man in front of her, who was sitting on a chair and drinking tea slowly, with some surprise. Of course, otherwise why would I come to your Crescent Hotel? Ji Yu Chang'e slowly put down the teacup and smiled. As far as I know, Mr. Gu's Gujin Pavilion is doing very well now, so there should be no need to cooperate with the Crescent Hotel, right? The owner behind the Gujin Pavilion may not be known to most people, but how could the Xinhue Hotel keep it secret? What's more, Ji Yu Chang'e never deliberately hid himself from the beginning to the end. Not to mention that Zhang Rishan and Yin Nanfengliu had investigated him from the beginning. Especially after learning that Ji Yu Chang'e was adopted by Aunt Bai, they have been paying attention to him. Some time ago, a batch of objects from the Warring States and Western Zhou dynasties suddenly emerged in Gujin Pavilion, which was a hot topic in the industry. In less than a few days, those objects were traded away. Creek Hotel naturally paid attention to it at that time. Shengshengman, go and call your boss Yin Nanfeng over. This business is really hard to do without her approval. Ji Yu Chang'e put down the teacup, and then patted a long box beside the table, saying lightly. Sheng Man, who was wearing a light pink cheongsam that perfectly outlined her figure, glanced at Ji Yu Chang'e, then looked at the long wooden box, and then nodded and said. Then Mr. Ji Yu, please sit here for a while, I will go find the boss. Sheng Man acted neatly and turned to leave the box as soon as she finished speaking. After leaving the box, Sheng Man walked through 2 corridors, turned a corner, and then stopped at the door of an office. Boss, come in, squeak. Sheng Man pushed open the door of the office, and saw Zhang Rishan, who was dressed in a suit and leather shoes, standing by the window with his hands behind his back, quietly looking at the scenery on the street outside the window. Yin Nanfeng, who was wearing a black long skirt, sat on a chair and checked an account book. How is it? What did Ji Yu Chengge do at Xinhue Hotel? Seeing Sheng Man coming in, Yin Nanfeng looked up at her, and then asked while checking the account book. Boss, Ji Yu Chengge said he wants to discuss a business with you. Business? Yin Nanfeng was stunned when he heard this, then put down the account book, glanced at Zhang Yushan by the window and laughed. Old man, what on earth is Ji Yu Chengge up to? His two ancient and modern pavilions are not small in scale, especially in the past month, the business has been endless. If there are any good items, can he bring them to my Xinhue Hotel to sell? In the past month, because of his ancient and modern pavilion, my Xinhue Hotel has lost a lot of interest. Speaking of this, Yin Nanfeng was a little angry. In addition to auctions, Xinhue Hotel also sells some things like funerary objects. But the batch of objects from the Western Zhou dynasty and the Warring States period in the ancient and modern pavilion completely surpassed their Xinhue Hotel. For this reason, Xinhue Hotel has not held an auction for several months. Otherwise, if the things are not even comparable to those of the ancient and modern pavilion, how can we attract people from all major forces to come? Nanfeng, please be polite to me in the future. Even your aunt would not dare to talk to me like this in the past. Zhang Yushan's tone was full of old-fashionedness. He slowly turned around and glanced at Yin Nanfeng, whose face turned cold. Then he continued. What does Ji Yu Chengge want to do? You will know if you go to see him. What can you guess here? But I advise you to put away your proud face. He is not an ordinary person. The four fierce beasts of the Ji Yu family under his command, you have heard of their names over the years. Each of them is a notorious existence in the world. I heard from Wu Sangxing that some time ago they went to a big tomb, and Ji Yu Chengge's strength was unheard of. If you offend him, it will be a big trouble. HMPH, would I be afraid of him? Yin Nanfeng snorted coldly. What unheard of means would his Yin family be afraid of? Do you really think that his Yin family is made of mud? If the Yin family is not strong, Zhang Yushan will stay in the Crescent Hotel. Will the Wang family and its organization not attack the Crescent Hotel? His Yin family and the Crescent Hotel have stood in Daxia for hundreds of years. They rely not only on connections from all sides, but also on the real backer behind them. I'll go see him now. I want to see what tricks he has. Quote. Yin Nanfeng snorted, then stood up and walked out of the office with Shengman. Looking at Yin Nanfeng's departing back, Zhang Yushan couldn't help but narrow his eyes slightly, and a barely perceptible light flashed in his eyes. Yin family, ancient god. Buddha, the Wang family and its organization have already started, your plan cannot succeed. In the private room, Ji Yu Chengge sipped tea slowly. It must be said that the Crescent Hotel has stood for 100 years without falling, and its accumulated connections and channels are indeed not comparable to ordinary people. As for the Dahongpao he was drinking, Ji Yu Chengge had no channels to buy it even if he spent a lot of money. Just after putting down the teacup, Ji Yu Chengge raised his eyebrows, and then there were footsteps. After a while, a group of Xinhue Hotel servants came in one after another. All these people were guarding the woman standing in the middle, and even Shengman was one step behind. The visitor had long black hair tied up with a jade hairpin, and was wearing a black long skirt and a thin gauze dress. She looked not only beautiful, but also very charming. Boss Ji Yu, you are a rare guest. The boss of Gujin Pavilion, a well-known boss in Beijing, actually came to my Xinhue Hotel today to discuss business. Nanfeng was really flattered. Looking at Ji Yu Chengge who was still sitting there, Yin Nanfeng crossed her arms and said coldly with her pretty face. Boss Yin is wrong. My Gujin Pavilion is doing well now, but it's just a shop after all. Yours is a big business, so it can't be compared. Ji Yu Chengge smiled faintly and didn't take it to heart for the dissatisfaction revealed in Yin Nanfeng's words. After all, in the past month or so, the business of Xinhue Hotel has indeed been taken away by Gujin Pavilion. In business, you fight for it, and it's normal to have a few quarrels occasionally. But in the end, it's best to make money in harmony. Otherwise, if someone plays dirty, he will send the other person's family to hell to continue playing dirty. Tell me, Boss Gu, what business do you want to do with me? Yin Nanfang rolled his eyes at Gu Changge, then walked to a chair on the side and sat down, and asked softly. Here, it's the things in here. Gu Changge pushed the long wooden box beside him and smiled faintly. Seeing this, Sheng Shengmin picked up the long wooden box, placed it on the table next to Yin Nanfang, and slowly opened it. When looking at the things in the wooden box, Yin Nanfang frowned at first, and then looked at Gu Changge in some confusion. Seeing this, Gu Changge shook his head and smiled, and then slowly introduced. This thing is called Jade Horn. You can also call it golden jade clothes. This thing is said to be able to revive the dead and rejuvenate. What kind of scene would it be if this thing was put up for auction at your Xinhue hotel? As long as the publicity is proper, not only Daxia, but also the great forces of the Lighthouse country, the European Union and other countries will come. This jade yang will definitely be able to sell for a sky-high price, and at the same time, the reputation of your Xinhue hotel will also spread at home and abroad. As Gu Changge spoke more, the expressions on Yin Nanfang and Sheng Shengmin next to him became more shocked. Jade horn, golden jade clothes, resurrection from the dead, rejuvenation. Boss Gu, is what you just said true? Yin Nanfang frowned and said in a deep voice. Of course, you can ask the appraisers from your Xinhue hotel to come. They will surely be able to tell something. Oh, yes, Zhang Rishan should be able to tell something as well. Gu Changge said calmly. Hearing this, Yin Nanfang did not hesitate and asked Sheng Shengmin to find an appraiser. If this is really the jade chamber and the jade clothes with golden threads, and it really has the ability to rejuvenate and bring back the dead, then their Xinhue hotel will probably be famous both at home and abroad. Soon, 7 or 8 old men in their 60s and 70s were treated by Sheng Shengmin. These are the most professional appraisers in Xinhue hotel, and each of them is a master of the house. This appraisal lasted for more than 2 hours, and in the end everyone agreed that this should indeed be the legendary artifact that even the first emperor was looking for, the jade horn. As for whether this thing has the ability to rejuvenate and bring back the dead, naturally no one knows, but the legend does mention it. For a moment, Yin Nanfang's face changed, and it was obviously thinking about how to get this jade. Just then, another person walked into the box. The man was dressed in a suit and had a handsome face. He looked less than 30 years old, but his whole body revealed a maturity and vicissitudes that were different from his age. What are you doing here, you old man? Seeing the man, Yin Nanfang asked unhappily. I heard that there was a jade here. Isn't it just curiosity that makes me come to see it? Zhang Yushan smiled, then walked to the room that was being surrounded by several people. The appraisers looked at the jade pipe and nodded. It is indeed a jade pipe. This thing can be called a divine weapon. Nanfang girl, what are you going to do? This jade pipe was brought by Boss Gu. I wonder how Boss Gu is going to cooperate. Gu Changge narrowed his eyes and glanced at Yin Nanfang and Zhang Yushan indifferently, then shook his head and smiled. I said before that this visit to Xinhue Hotel is just a simple business. No matter where this jade pipe is, it will definitely be sold at an opening price. I will ship it, and Boss Yin will auction it. It's that simple. As for how to promote it, that's your business, Boss Yin. Oh, doesn't Boss Gu have any other ideas? Yin Nanfang asked in confusion. No, it's just business. Gu Changge shook his head helplessly. His purpose from the beginning was just to sell the golden jade clothes. After all, this thing was no different from waste paper in his hands. Selling it can make some money, so why not? But why does everyone think that he must have other purposes? Okay, since Boss Gu is straightforward, I, Yin Nanfang, am not stingy. We will not charge the handling fee for the auction of this jade string this time. You know, our Xinhue hotel has always charged 15 points for the auction items. With the value of the jade string, it will definitely be sold at a sky-high price. This handling fee is a considerable amount. Quote, looking at Yin Nanfang who looked generous and open-minded, Gu Changge slowly stood up, walked in front of her, and looked at her with a strange expression. Isn't it the most basic operation for you to waive the handling fee? After all, compared to some money, the reputation of your Xinhue hotel, which has entered the lighthouse, the European Union and other Western countries, is not something that some money can compare to. Ding, a check-in location is found. Does the host start to check in? Go up. Ding, we found a place where you can sign in. Do you want to sign in? Tisk tisk, you can finally sign in. I thought you had to wait a while. When he heard the voice of the system in his mind, a smile suddenly appeared in Ji Chenggi's eyes. It has been a while since Yin Nanfang appeared in front of him, but the voice of the system has not appeared yet. At this moment, after hearing the system's sign-in sound, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Sign in, Ji Chengge answered in his mind. Ding, signing in progress. Ding, signing in successfully. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in front of Yin Nanfang and receiving a bottle of reward Dragon Tiger Bone Blood Pill. Ding, do you want to receive the reward? Hearing what the system said, Ji Chengge couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. I didn't expect that the reward for signing in this time was actually the Dragon Tiger Bone Blood Pill. Although he didn't have other things before, he didn't regret it. After all, pills are now his most scarce thing. Dragon Tiger Bone Blood Pill. Zaifu has taken one pill in the past month. The effect of the pill is very significant. Not only did it allow him to break through to the 6th level of innate cultivation, but it also made his body stronger. The force of one punch even reached a terrifying level of 30,000 kilograms. Originally, there were only 2 Dragon Tiger Bone Blood pills left. He was still wondering when he could get another bottle, but he didn't expect it to come now. Ding, the reward is being issued. Ding, the reward is successfully issued and has been stored in the system space. The host can use it at any time. Hearing the voice of the system, Ji Chengge checked the system space and found that there was indeed an extra bottle of pills, which made him smile unconsciously. Boss Ji, what you said before makes sense. If the news of this golden jade clothing is released, it will definitely attract countless big sharks at home and abroad. Just exempting you from some handling fees does make my Xinhua hotel seem petty. Quote. At this time, Yin Nanfang hesitated for a moment, then said with a firm face, So, I, Yin Nanfang, am not a stingy person. As long as you agree to put the golden jade clothes in my Xinhua hotel for auction, I will not only waive all the handling fees. In the future, Xinhua hotel will not charge any handling fees for the items that you, Boss Ji, bring to auction. And on behalf of the Yin family, I agree to one condition for you. How about it? Dit. Hearing Yin Nanfang's words, Ji Chengge couldn't help showing a surprised look. From now on, no handling fee will be charged for the items he brings for auction. You know, why did Ji Chengge take the golden jade clothes to the Xinhua hotel for auction instead of selling it in the Gujin Pavilion? The reason is that the Gujin Pavilion is too small. Although the Gujin Pavilion has a booming business, it is just an antique shop after all. Selling some antique artifacts will definitely attract many businessmen to buy. But if you sell the golden jade clothes, I'm afraid there won't be many people who will buy it. Even if someone comes to buy it, the price will be different too much. If the golden jade clothes can be sold for tens or even hundreds of billions at the New Moon Hotel, it can't even be sold for 1 billion at the Ancient and Modern Pavilion. The reason is still the problem of resources and connections. The New Moon Hotel is an auction house that has stood in the capital for hundreds of years. Its resources and connections have a great influence on the entire Daxia, and even on both sides of the Taiwan Strait, Hong Kong, and Southeast Asia. This is the influence brought by the Yin family and the New Moon Hotel for hundreds of years. Because he can invite many big crocodiles and powerful people to come. If there is really a good thing, the auction price will also rise wildly. Just a golden jade burial, the waived handling fee can reach 1 or 2, or even several small target. And the things that can make Ji Chengge take things to auction must be of the same level as the golden jade clothes. In this way, if this continues, it is not impossible that the Crescent Hotel will lose dozens of small goals. Of course, if Ji Chengge is willing, he can also set up an auction house by himself. With his ability, the good things found in the tombs can definitely be auctioned at a sky-high price. But he is unwilling to do this. After all, his main purpose is to rob tombs and get system rewards, and then practice martial arts. From the beginning, he opened the Ancient and Modern Pavilion just to make his life better. Now, robbing tombs, the artifacts that were taken out can be sold in Gujin Pavilion. If he runs the auction house again, he will have to recruit people to manage it and train a group of people to guard the auction house. If he has this time, his cultivation can be improved. So when Yin Nanfang proposed to exempt him from the handling fee for all the auction items in the future, he was already a little tempted. And when the Yin family agreed to one of his conditions later, he nodded and agreed without thinking. Boss Yin, since you have said this, then I naturally have no reason to refuse. Okay, then I wish us a happy cooperation. Seeing Ji Yu Chengge agreed, Yin Nanfang couldn't help but smile, stretched out his hand and said with a smile. Happy cooperation. Gently shaking hands with Yin Nanfang, feeling the other party's slender, white and soft hand, Ji Yu Chengge was ready to explode. Boss Ji Yu, I plan to set the reserve price of this gold thread jade clothes at 1 billion, and I plan to hold a grand auction around the middle of next month. In addition to the gold thread jade clothes, there are definitely many good things in this auction. At that time, it will definitely attract many powerful forces. I would like to invite Boss Ji Yu to come and see if there is anything he likes. Quote. Looking at Yin Nanfang's serious face, Ji Yu Chengge nodded and said, no problem, there is still more than a month before the middle of next month, and I look forward to that day. Okay, then it's settled. In that case, I'll take my leave first. The matter has been finalized, and the sign-in has been successful. Ji Yu Chengge naturally didn't plan to stay any longer and turned around to leave. Boss Ji Yu, why don't we find a quiet place and talk? At this time, Zhang Yushan suddenly said. Oh. Ji Yu Chengge raised his eyebrows, glanced at Zhang Yushan, and then smiled faintly and said, what does President Zhang want to talk to me about? As he opened his mouth, he directly revealed Zhang Yushan's identity. The two have never really met, but everyone knows each other. This point is also known to both of them. Zhang Rishan had investigated him before and knew that he was adopted by Aunt Bai. At the beginning, Wu Sengxing also told him that Zhang Yushan wanted him to accept the sixth gate. Now it seems that Zhang Shan is ready to play his cards directly. Boss Ji Yu, this is not a place to talk. Zhang Yushan looked calm and looked at the people around him. Okay, please lead the way, President Zhang. Ji Yu Chengge nodded. He also wanted to hear what Zhang Yushan wanted to say to him. Please. Zhang Yushan gestured with his hand, and the two left the box together. Yin Nanfang, who was standing by, did not say much when he saw this. Following Zhang Yushan, the two came all the way to an office on the third floor. However, looking at the layout of the office, it seemed that it had been specially modified to isolate all sounds, and no sound could be heard from outside. Come, Boss Ji Yu, please have tea. Sitting on the chair, Zhang Rishan personally got a cup of tea and said with a smile. President Zhang, I don't like to beat around the bush. Just say it directly if you have anything to say. Looking at the teacup in front of him, Ji Yu Chengge said calmly. Hearing this, Zhang Yushan's face became slightly serious, and he stared at Ji Yu Chengge and said, Boss Ji Yu, I think you should know that I have investigated you, and you should also have investigated me in Jiamen. You have already met Wu Sengxing, and I have also heard about what happened between you and me in the tomb of King Lu. I have to say that your strength is beyond my imagination. But this is not enough. It is good that you can cooperate with Yin Nanfang. Some financial interests are not important. What is important is that she agreed to your 10 conditions on behalf of the Yin family. The Yin family is not as simple as you see. Since you have all kinds of incredible abilities, you should know an incredible existence. Only. Behind the Yin family, there is the existence of Only, which is an unthinkable and indescribable existence that transcends the reincarnation of the world and is unimaginable to mortals. Although Only fell into a deep sleep, the Yin family still has a way to contact a trace of consciousness, do you understand? Looking at Zhang Yushan, who had a serious face and a solemn expression, Ji Yu Chengge couldn't help but smile lightly. How could he not know what the other party was talking about? Isn't it the ancient god? It is obvious that Zhang Yushan is very secretive about the ancient god, and he doesn't even dare to say it, and can only use Only instead. It can be seen that there are far more people in this world who know the existence of the ancient god than himself. In the ghost-blowing universe, there are 8 ancient gods in the world, but now this is the pirate's world, who knows how many ancient formations there are in the world. Could the Qilin bloodline of the Zhang family come from the bloodline of an ancient god? In addition, are there other ancient gods? Of course, there are also strong and weak among the ancient gods. Daxia has ancient gods, but what about outside Daxia? Ji Yuchang naturally didn't know about the existence of the ancient gods behind the Yin family at first. But when he first came to the Crescent Hotel, he felt something was wrong. Especially after seeing Yin Nanfang just now, he felt something was wrong. He actually felt a strange power on Yin Nanfang. That power did not belong to Yin Nanfang herself, and even she herself could not perceive that strange power. That kind of power is very strange. Even with his current 6th level innate cultivation, he can't grasp it. He just feels that it seems to involve some meaning of time and space. You know, his 6th level innate cultivation is not the innate in the martial arts novels of his previous life. It is the real high-level innate. If he bursts out the 6th level innate cultivation with all his strength, the destructive power of one blow is enough to destroy several long streets and several skyscrapers. Once he reaches the martial arts master level, even tens of thousands of meters in radius will be reduced to ruins under full strength. But even with such a strong strength, he can't understand the power lingering on Yin Nanfang. And that power is not bad for Yin Nanfang, but it seems to protect her. With Ji Yuchang's current strength, he is absolutely invincible among humans. Even the most powerful Big Zongzi in the world can't stop his attack. But the power that even he can't understand can only be a possibility. That is the ancient god. The Yin family is probably worshipping an ancient god behind them. Although the ancient god is asleep, he still offers a little power to protect the Yin family. Even at the critical moment, the Yin family may be able to use a little power of the ancient god. It was precisely because he guessed that there was an ancient god behind the Yin family that Ji Yucheng agreed to Yin Nanfang's conditions immediately. Ancient god. This is definitely the strongest existence in this world. Even if the body perishes and the soul is broken, there will still be a day of return after countless years. Under the rules of this world, it is a truly immortal existence. With Ji Yucheng's current strength, it is absolutely impossible to be the opponent of an ancient god. Not to mention the innate, even the martial arts master or even the grand master is impossible. Each ancient god controls at least one power, such as the transformation of the snake god's realm and the imaginary space. The weird illusion of the big meat, the alien replacement, and the resurrection of the corpse. The ancient god entropy can distort time, create a time box, and create illusions beyond reality. Even the ghost tree, the ability to destroy yin and yang and reopen the world. It can be said that every ancient god is synonymous with invincibility. Fortunately, all the ancient gods have either fallen or fallen into a deep sleep. In the short term, these ancient gods will never return. To be honest, Ji Yucheng is still very curious about these ancient gods. If he can face a real ancient god when his cultivation is sufficient, perhaps he can know which realm of martial arts these ancient gods are equivalent to. Or perhaps, when he can get a method such as devouring other people's power in a certain sign in reward in the future, these ancient gods of heaven and earth can all become his nutrients. It is for this reason that he wants to use the condition that Yin Nanfang promised him to contact the ancient gods. Of course, all this is just his thought just now. It may take some time to really implement this idea. Ji Yucheng, tell me, is there a only behind you? Looking at the silent Ji Yucheng, Zhang Yushan looked solemn, his face was more serious than ever, and then asked in a deep voice. In Wu Sangxing's words, Ji Yucheng and even his subordinates actually possess the means of true qi and sword light in film and television dramas. This made Zhang Rishan have to think more. Perhaps there is really an ancient god behind Ji Yucheng, who can turn illusion into reality, so Ji Yucheng has such means. Otherwise, all this cannot be explained at all. Listening to Zhang Yushan's question, Ji Yucheng couldn't help but smile. Zhang Yushan is really good at imagination, and actually thinks that there is an ancient god behind him. Ji Yucheng guessed the other party's guess at the first time. It has to be said that Zhang Shan is very imaginative. But there is really no ancient god behind him, there is only a system. As for whether the system is a certain ancient god pretending, Ji Yucheng has never thought about it. Just because of one thing, that is, even if there is really an ancient god in this world, who can turn illusion into reality, and turn the skills and elixirs in film and television dramas into reality. Then this ancient god is not just the ancient god of this world of Taozong. Each world has its own rules. If it is forcibly changed, it will only cause unrest in the world. The TV dramas and novels in this world are very different from his previous life. People like Jin Ji-yu, Huang Liangwen, do not exist. Even those stars are different from the previous life. If the system is an ancient god, it can turn the illusion of his previous life into reality in this world, and even involve the realm of the heavens. Then this so-called ancient god will be the ancient formation of the heavens. It has nothing to do with the ancient gods of this world. As for why he was chosen, Jiyu Chengge did not think much. Thinking too much will only make himself fall into self-doubt and endless troubles. Of course, all this must be based on the fact that the system he has is really the ancient god of the heavens. After shaking his head and clearing away the unnecessary thoughts in his mind, Jiyu Chengge looked at Zhang Yushan, who had a serious face, and slowly said, "President Zhang, I can answer you with certainty that there is no so-called, only, behind me. If you come to me today just to talk about this, then I won't accompany you." Not, only. Zhang Yushan frowned and looked at Jiyu Chengge with some suspicion. Although he had some doubts and did not believe what Jiyu Chengge said, he also saw that the other party did not want to talk about this matter. Since he could not give an accurate answer, he simply did not mention it. Zhang Yushan nodded, his face eased a little, and then continued, "Jiyu Chengge, you were adopted by Aunt Bai, and the relationship between Aunt Bai and Sixth Master is what you should know, so strictly speaking, you are also considered a member of the 9 gates. Now among the 9 gates and 3 gates, the position of the 6th gate has never been taken over. Since you have this relationship with the 6th Master, why don't you take over the 6th gate? From now on, you are the head of the 6th gate." Quote, "President Zhang, Aunt Bai is Aunt Bai, Blackback Old 6 is Blackback Old 6, and I have no relationship with the West Gate. As for taking over the 6th gate, that is even more impossible. Don't think I don't know what you are thinking. Now the 9 gates are stuck in the quagmire and can't get out of it. Sooner or later, the old 9 gates will completely collapse. You want me to take over the 6th gate so that I can also be drawn into the chess game so that you can break the game." Jiyu Chengge smiled coldly, with a look of contempt, and said disdainfully, "Aren't you afraid that I will get angry and directly overturn the table and crush the entire chess game? For me, what 9 gates, what Wang family and its organization, whoever plots against me and dares to attack me, there is only one word, that is death." At this point, he no longer had the interest to continue to follow Zhang Rishan down. Some things are destined to be unchangeable. The 9 gates are already rotten. Even without the Wang family and its organization, the 9 gates will be destroyed sooner or later. In the original time and space, Wu Tianzhen's plan was to destroy the Wang family headquarters and even the computing department. But the other families of the 9 gates were basically extinct. This shows how rotten the 9 gates are now. What a pity. The old 9 gates were so glorious in the past, but now the 9 gates, although their power has increased, have already been full of termites. The Zhang family of the 9 gates Buddha is in name only, and only Zhang Yushan is struggling to support it. The second master's Hong family has basically faded out of the 9 gates site, no longer involved in those things. The third master's Li family has completely declined since the previous generation Li Sidi disappeared after the battle in the underwater tomb. The tomb robbing and antique circles can no longer survive. Fourth master Chen Pac is still alive, but he will not live long. The entire Chen family has moved to the border area. They are still quite powerful in Southeast Asia, but once Chen Pac dies, the Chen family will still be destroyed in the future without a sufficiently outstanding person to take the lead. Wu Lagu did give birth to 3 good sons, each of whom should not be underestimated. It's a pity that Wu Tianzhen has a mission since he was born, and the relationship between Wu Tianzhen and the little brother may mean that the Wu family will be extinct in the future. As for the Huo family, Huo Xianggu is somewhat capable, but she is too arrogant, and Huo Ling has long disappeared. Now, except for Huo Xianggu and Huo Shusho, everyone else in the Huo family is thinking about fighting for power and profit. This kind of family power will be destroyed sooner or later. The Qi family is even more pitiful. No one knows where Qi Baiyi went or whether he died, but his only descendant seems to have died abroad. Now the Qi family is actually managed by a group of collateral branches, none of whom have the ability of Kim and Basu, and everyone in the family is a waste. As for the Xie family, apart from Xie Yuchen, few others are capable, and even a group of people are always thinking about how to pull Xie Yuchen down from the position of the head of the family. How many people can stay in such a 9 gates? At this time, his joining the 9 gates has nothing to do with whether he is looking for death or not, but it is completely a question of whether he is mentally retarded. Although I have long guessed that you will refuse, I still can't help but feel a little disappointed at this moment. Zhang Yushan smiled bitterly and shook his head, saying helplessly, "That's your business. Since there is nothing else, I will leave first." After the voice fell, Ji Chengge turned around and walked out the door without even turning his head. Looking at Ji Chengge's leaving back, Zhang Yushan's mouth corners became more and more bitter. After leaving the office door, Ji Chengge did not say hello to Yin Nanfang, but directly left the Xinhue Hotel, got on the car that had been prepared, and went to the Ji mansion. He will go on a long journey tomorrow, and he has to prepare and put all the purchased materials into the system space. And told several people something. Night, in the Ji mansion. Ji Chengge sat in the pavilion, and the chopsticks beside him were quietly brewing tea. The 4 fierce beasts of the Ji family and Hu Peng were sitting or standing in front of him. "Yingzi, how is your study during this period?" Looking at Yingzi, who was brewing tea seriously, Ji Chengge couldn't help but ask with a smile. "Brother Ji, don't worry, I am making rapid progress in my studies now. The teacher said that I will definitely be admitted to a good university next year." Hearing Ji Chengge's inquiry, Yingzi hurriedly said with some pride. Now Yingzi, under his arrangement, is studying in the 3rd year of high school in a certain school. Because he was afraid that Yingzi could not keep up with the pace of study, Ji Chengge also specially hired some tutors for her. But perhaps after entering the practice, Yingzi's mind became more and more flexible, especially when studying, she made rapid progress. Maybe she can really be admitted to a good university next year. "Okay Yingzi, go and rest first, you are not needed here." "Okay, brother Ji, I know." Quote, Yingzi nodded and quickly turned around and left. "My lord, which tomb are we going to this time? How does it compare to the previous tomb of King Lu?" As soon as he saw Yingzi leaving, Fatty Wong asked anxiously. "I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more."